August 2014. How about that?
Has it really been that long?
Since I've been on the show, yeah.
Jeez. You were on for a period of time. You'd moved out to Keene for a temporary basis, and we had you on a weekly basis, and it was great.
Yeah, I was just in the process of exploring the state at the time, and I spent, I think, 6 or 7 months out here in Keene.
And now you're back out in the Manchester area. You've got a fancy apartment with a really nice studio. I was there just the other day.
Thank you. And and I'm actually looking for my next stop after Manchester.
That's right. You're planning another move somewhere inside New Hampshire.
I like to move every year.
Really?
Yeah.
That is unusual, don't you think? I mean, moving's kind of a hassle.
It is. It's a major hassle, and I feel like my feet are planted pretty firmly where I am right now, and I fancy myself a bit of a minimalist.
Okay.
So I do like to just have enough stuff that I'm, comfortable picking it up and taking it someplace else.
Relatively quickly, small load of stuff.
Yeah, well, a U-Haul truck full.
I don't know if that's a minimalist. If you are
a minimalist is like 2 suitcases.
Yeah, like if you can put it in one car, I would say that's a minimalist.
Yeah, I'm a minimalist with respect to like a U-Haul truck.
Okay.
Like I don't need the 25-footer.
You don't have a storage facility. You're keeping everything in one place.
I do have a storage facility.
All right, you're definitely not a minimalist then.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Wait, what do you mean?
I said I fancy myself a minimalist.
Yeah. Oh, okay,
I didn't say I actually met the definition.
You would like to be a minimalist, ideally at some point in the future.
I would like to get rid of a lot of stuff that I have, but I am very attached to my home studio for School Sucks.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm the same way.
I fancy myself as rich and not having to work, but that's not true either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I like to keep it simple. I like to keep life simple. I like to have as few things in my life as possible, but in order to do the things that I do, I have to have certain stuff.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So there's a certain minimum that I have to maintain, but I would prefer to not have that much, but I do. Anyway, if you want to tell us about your keeping stuff habits, our number here, 855-450-FREE. I don't know why you keep pointing at my screen, Mark. I can't read sign language, and I don't know what you're trying to tell me. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We also have Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. So you're telling me you have some sort of article you want to talk about? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, I've got that.
Okay.
We were discussing that Milo Yiannopoulos fellow before the thing, and I've got that article.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give a little background.
Who is this?
He is a writer for Breitbart, and I think he really became more prominent with the whole Gamergate scandal a couple years ago.
Okay.
And he is currently out on a kind of provocateur tour of America's colleges and universities, trying to stir up some crap with the people that he would pejoratively refer to as social justice warriors, trying to tell them why they are wrong about many of their impassioned causes, and it's causing quite a bit of trouble, as I think Mark will get into here in a second.
One of the things that really sort of rankles folks on the other side from him is that he is homosexual.
Yes.
Right? So it's much more difficult for somebody who, like the social justice warriors span the gamut. But
yeah, what is a social justice warrior?
It's the new iteration of what used to be called politically correct. Okay. So, they want you to sort of accept everything. And
accept anything that goes against what they accept. Right. So it's tolerance to the point of intolerance. So if you were like more traditionally conservative, or you had religious attitudes towards gay marriage, you would not be. That's intolerable. So it's kind of funny that it's tolerance taken to the point of intolerance.
Okay,
that sounds accurate.
So the biggest issues right now within the social justice movement are Black Lives Matter and feminism, but also cultural sensitivity is another big one. Have you heard the term cultural appropriation?
Yes,
I've probably heard it, but I couldn't.
We talked about this on the air with the Halloween costumes.
Where you're not supposed to wear certain costumes 'cause they're
cultural
offensive?
appropriation is when you act like somebody else decides you're not.
Okay.
So if, for instance,
So it's offensive for someone to wear an Indian costume, an American Indian costume, when they were a white person, was the idea?
right, I suppose, but many American Indians look, people that self-identify as American Indians look awfully white to lots of people. So this gets to be a very complicated issue. Certainly there are costumes and ways to dress that are insulting to other groups, but just because somebody wears a Cinco de Mayo T-shirt doesn't mean that they hate everybody from Mexico. That's that's
Could
kind
just
of
mean
ridiculous.
they like to party.
Right, and it's ridiculous because Cinco de Mayo doesn't, whatever. Yeah,
But it's not an aggressive act. See, like, if this was a legitimate response to aggressive acts against certain types of people, whether they were women or black or homosexual, fine. Like, justice is a real concept that I think a lot of people strive for, right? But this is now in the realm of cultural appropriation. It's like attacking people for their ignorance in dressing up like a Native American or eating Chinese food, would be a form.
That's offensive to some people?
Yeah, there was recently a dust up in a college cafeteria over this. They didn't want, them to be serving certain types of food because it was culturally appropriative. Now, you give these people an inch, and I think there's a lot of timidity towards this, like, hey, stop. And this is what Milo is all about. And he has this suit of armor, and he'll say this. He goes on Fox News. He goes on other...
What's the suit of armor?
That he's gay.
Right.
So he'll say...
Right. He is not a heterosexual male, so therefore they can't just train the cannons on him and boom, boom, boom. You white men who are heterosexual and cisgendered have ruined everything. Well, I'm like, but hey, I'm just a minority of one over here.
It's kind of like the approach of, if you want to criticize the military, get a veteran out to do it, right?
That's the approach.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Milo, what's his name? Milo what?
Yiannopoulos.
Yiannopoulos, all right.
And
Yiannopoulos.
Is he Greek?
Yes, but he's actually, the name is Greek. He is actually British. He has a British accent.
Ah, okay.
He's a handsome, well-dressed man. And
As you'd expect.
He's very well-read. He's very bright. And he goes to
He's tearing them up.
Yeah, he goes to these colleges and he presents them with facts. And it is not going well on a lot of these campuses.
Yeah, a little bit here. He says, in 2016, battle lines will be drawn. On one side, the people of all colors, genders, and orientations are rallying around the flag of freedom of speech. On the other, a nasty set of authoritarians are rallying around around a flag that identifies as a flag only on Mondays and uses thee and them as pronouns and will get you fired or expelled from school if you forget it. Let me explain. In 2015, I saw the seeds of a movement begin to sprout across the internet. Even in fear-gripped halls on campuses, young people began to stand up and challenge the humorless, divisive, identity-obsessed elites that have taken over our cultural discourse. Now, I really should give a trigger warning at this point. If you are a social justice warrior, you may be triggered by what I have to say. So it's time to turn off the radio and go play with your Legos and blow some bubbles and find your safe space, because this is somebody who disagrees with those folks. And I think that I absolutely do agree with him. Colleges are places of learning. This stuff is rampant on colleges, university campuses more likely than colleges, and it needs to be
more
questioned.
likely? Why is it more likely to be on a university campus versus a college? Isn't that just a funding difference or something? What's the difference between the two?
Well, okay, so here's one theory, and I'd be interested to hear what you think too. College campuses, really due to the faculty, are places that are significantly shielded from reality.
Right.
Most of these people who are explaining the world to these young kids have never been out in the real world. So
that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll continue the discussion. 855-450-FREE if you want to join us.
At Van Dyke Mortgage, we would like to thank our military veterans. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. For your service to our country, the Veterans Administration or VA loans are available for active, non-active, and retired veterans who meet the established requirements to assist in buying or refinancing a home loan. The most notable features and benefits for those who qualify are 100% financing, no monthly mortgage insurance, a variety of terms or loan types, reduced costs for disabled veterans, and no seller prepayment penalty. At Van Dyke Mortgage, we work hard to be your trusted mortgage advisor and can help analyze your personal situation and give you advice that matters. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com. That's VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Free Talk Live.
It's obvious the government expects people to pay taxes, whether or not they have a law.
They are a band of marauders. They're a violent band of thugs, and in my opinion, they're a group of strangers. I mean, if I all of a sudden wrote up an invoice for you, Robert, and sent it to your house saying, you owe Free Talk Live $5,000 this year, or if you don't pay us, we're going to send some people after you to punch your face in. Would you cut me a check? I mean, because that's essentially what they're doing. That's essentially what the IRS does. They write a bunch of strangers, people they don't know, an invoice, and they include a bunch of obscure instructions that you're supposed to understand. And then at the very bottom it says, if you don't follow these instructions to the T, we are going to charge you with a criminal offense and throw you in the clink. This is a threat. And I don't take kindly to threats. I don't know about you.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. It's the live Saturday edition. You're invited here to share with us whatever happens to be on your mind. We're talking about someone who's really stirring it up on college campuses, Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yep.
And we're going to get back into that or get deeper into what exactly is going on there. He's challenging a lot of the beliefs that some of these college students have of cultural appropriation and safe spaces and things like that. Our toll-free number,
third wave feminism.
Our toll-free number here, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. Maybe you're familiar with this person and his work. You're on a college campus. You want to share your experience. Please do. 855-450-3733. Also join us through Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. If you're using the internet, you need to be protecting yourself. And you just can't expect, the corporations out there to do it for you. You've got to take steps. You've got to go through the trouble. There's a little bit of, hoop jumping you have to go through if you want to protect yourself on the internet. One of those hoops you can jump into is ProXPN. They will give you your privacy back. It's a virtual private network, and they encrypt your data right from your computer or mobile device. They've got OpenVPN, which is the gold standard of network encryption. There's apps for Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, and there's Linux support as well. Plus, ProXPN, unlike other VPNs, keeps no logs of your activities whatsoever. And if you're a Windows user, ask ProXPN about changing your DNS settings for even greater anonymity. They accept credit card and even Bitcoin. And if you use code FTL50, you can get 50% off of the regular monthly price for the lifetime of an annual account. It can end up being cheaper per month than a good cup of coffee. Use the internet the way it was meant to be used. Go to proxpn.com right now, use code FTL50, and take back the privacy that is your right. That's code FTL50 at proxpn.com. Brett Venant joining Ian and Mark in the studio here for our live Saturday show. And Brett, you've been telling us, and Mark, I guess you've got a story about this guy, Milo Yiannopoulos, how he's stirring it up out there on college campuses.
Yeah, he's in his article here. He's talking about what college campuses are like, and he describes, people who are, I guess, what he calls social justice warriors. The PC police, these kind of folks, as humorless, divisive, identity obsessed elites.
Now, wait a minute,
that have
before you
taken
go on.
over cultural discourse.
Okay, but you said you feel like that would be more so at a university than a college, and I don't think you ever really explained why that would be.
Yeah, I was in the process of explaining that, but there's a culture that's set up in the universities because I think a lot of the professors themselves are shielded from reality. So one way
But
that
not at a college?
No, colleges and universities are we.
I
thought Mark said that there was a difference between university and college.
I want to make sure that we're talking about, so I'm not talking about your local community college isn't infested with social justice warriors. What I'm saying is the larger the institution, the more, usually the older and more prestigious it is, the more likely they're going to have people who have never worked a day in their lives there, who want to optimize the language in a way. They understand the power of language. They want to optimize the language in a way that they feel is going to shape the world in the fairest fashion that they want to shape it. And they believe that, for instance, they just don't care about people who are whatever traditional roles there are out there. If you had your day, then now's the time for other people to have their day. So if you're male,
but
then
what's
you're
the
out.
difference between a university and a
university
college?
is school after 16th grade. So a college.
So universities have more than 4 years, is the idea?
That's correct.
Okay.
I would say it's a problem, but in this case, it's a problem that applies to colleges and universities.
That's what I would think. I mean, I hadn't heard there was a difference really between the leftiness.
Some are better than
of
others,
those places.
and the smaller the place, I think the less of a difficulty you're going to have.
Huh, okay.
Yeah. And I agree with what Mark's saying about the age of an institution and the kinds of people that it attracts. So, I mean, one name that's probably come up on Free Talk Live in the past is Paul Krugman. Somebody who has a tremendous following of young, naive economics students, but hasn't really actually spent much time in the real world of economic thinking. I talked to a professor recently on my show, William Boyes. He's a Mises scholar, and he runs I apologize for forgetting the name of it right now, out at Arizona State University. So this is quite a feat. Runs some kind of free market focused school out there. He said, I graduated from my PhD program in economics back in probably the 60s, I'm guessing. He went out into the work world of economics and realized he didn't know the first thing about how economics actually worked. So that's the idea of shelter, but that's actually being transferred now to students in ways that it really hasn't been before in this whole concept of the safe space, which is very much kind of intellectual safe space. People
Meaning
feel
safe from being challenged intellectually.
but it's not presented that way by them. They say safe from being offended or made uncomfortable or scared by certain types of speech. But how do we grow intellectually and emotionally? Through being challenged, right?
How else would you grow,
intellectually and otherwise. And now they're saying they want protection from those kinds of challenges, and that's exactly where this guy, even though I don't agree with him about everything, Milo, he loves Donald Trump. He calls Donald Trump daddy. I don't agree. I'm not down with all that, right? But
you can handle the marketplace of ideas. To borrow a phrase from Rush Limbaugh, there. It's in many cases these. I think the best way to spread ideas is to sort of gently talk to people about them. But there's sometimes when ideas get in a gladiator pit and they clash,
right?
And that's fine.
And that's what those institutions are supposed to be about: deliberating through those kinds of controversies, and people grow because of it.
Now college professors are complaining because they have to give trigger warnings on things like Shakespeare and stuff, and it gets at some point or another, it's just ridiculous. You're going to read an old book, and they're going to use the standard male and female gender paradigm, and that is not an insult to you, you little baby, right? Like, that's it. If you have to go suck your thumb in the college-provided safe space and play with the Legos and bubbles, I'm not kidding you. They have these things. The little places for people to decompress who can't handle the notion that literature had a male and female paradigm in it.
Yeah, I was about to say now, Mark, you're doing something wrong there by saying bubbles and Legos. That's clearly a violation. But unfortunately, Mark is telling a true tale. There are actually rooms with locks on the doors and maybe pads on the walls where people can go and they can color.
Yep.
And they can play with blocks if they feel scared or uncomfortable with what is going on outside. And I see this to be as vindicating as it is for me, a man who runs something called the School Sucks Project.
That's right.
That the output of government schools produces this kind of situation in quote-unquote higher education. Yes, that makes me feel like I've been right about a lot of things, but it's also terrifying when you think about how it will show up in the future.
And
yeah, no doubt.
Many of these people with their, whatever their largely useless degrees, and I don't say that to
most of them are going to leave school at some point and then get out into the real world.
Most college students are graduating with largely useless degrees.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say some MBAs are worth it, but like things like doctor, engineer, lawyer, these people need degrees. After that, I'm of the opinion communication degrees, lousy. If your French horn degree, yeah, sure. If you're going to go play in an orchestra for a living, that it was worth it. But otherwise, it was a big useless. Your gender studies, only if you're going to be a gender studies professor, and we have plenty of those.
The toll-free number tonight for you to join us here, live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live. Our number, 855-450-FREE, Free Talk Live.
The final phase of extermination is set to commence now. And as population die-off becomes evident, you know it is the time of punishment in all that is written. The cover for mass die-off is evolution and global warming frauds, also used as false proof of their Christ. They are from the lines that were disinherited 2,000 years ago. Now they claim to be his Christ based upon blood type, DNA, and long lifespan. Go to unveilingthem.com. That's UNVEILING them.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, Hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Really forget it.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
If you're Democrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50, non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-872-0403, 800-872-0403, 800-872-0403.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live Saturday edition here. Our toll-free number, if you want to join us, the number's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Also, you can Skype in. The Skype username is LRN.FM.
If you live long enough, you're going to have heart issues, whether it's high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, clogging the arteries, whatever it might be. It's going to happen if you live long enough. So it is a certainty for everyone. What they found in, 1998, there was a Nobel Prize for science given out to a team of scientists who worked on nitric oxide and what it did for heart health. There's a guy that was on that team that has now put together a supplement, because it's really difficult to get this nitric oxide into your system. Well, he's worked on a supplement. That supplement's called Super Beets. I'm taking it every day. It is great. I just mix it with water and take it as a quick shot, but you can mix it in with a smoothie or a yogurt or whatever it might be. They make it with non-GMO beets, but there's no beet taste to Super Beets. It's a berry flavor, and it's great. Plus, you'll feel the energy from Super Beets within 20 minutes as it raises the dietary nitrates in it, raises your nitric oxide levels in your body. It comes with little strips that you can test your nitric oxide levels, just by licking them. And you'll be amazed at seeing the color differences like I was. Try this out, because you can get a 30-day supply free with your first order. You'll get the nitric oxide indicator strips, plus you get the free book, Beat the Odds, and all of it comes with free shipping. All you got to do is go to FTL, that's as in Free Talk Live, FTLbeats.com, or give them a call at 800-951-8940. FTLbeats.com, 800-951-8940.
Okay, so we've been discussing this character who's been appearing on college campuses, Milo Yiannopoulos, and we've sort of scratched the surface of what he's been talking about, and apparently it's been really stirring things up. We'll continue that discussion coming up here. First, we'll go to the phones and your calls and thoughts. Tom, listening in Nashua, New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Tom.
Yeah, do you know what the job of the Canadian Senate is?
No, I don't know much about the Canadian parliamentary system or whatever it is they got.
Hopefully, it's to keep the crappy bills passed by the Canadian House out of the Prime Minister's hands.
No, it's the exact opposite.
Oh, shoot.
Their job is to pass whatever the House of Commons passes. It's like royal assent.
Oh.
It is automatic. And the reason I'm bringing that up is to contrast the job of members of the delegates to a Republican convention. In fact, the thing I've spoken about before, how the state convention can nominate electors who won't vote for Donald Trump, even if he wins the nomination and even if he wins in that state, is an excuse. Let's say somebody's running for state representative on the Republican ticket here in New Hampshire, just for example. And you say, well, what do you think about Donald Trump? And they wonder, what difference does that make? They're running for state representative. Well, if you win the Republican nomination for state representative, that automatically makes you a delegate to the Republican State Convention. And then you get to vote on whether to pass. It's usually automatic.
Are you one of these things,
like
Mark?
royal.
Are you one of these delegate people?
Yeah, I'm a delegate to the state convention for the state of New Hampshire, but that doesn't give me the ability to vote on a candidate. That gives me the ability to vote on the state platform.
It also, one of the things in a presidential year, one of the things it does is it's usually routine, like royal assent on a bill in the Canadian Parliament. It's they have these four hand-picked Republicans to be the presidential electors, and it's the convention that nominates them to be presidential electors. So, but usually it goes without any opposition. It's just a routine thing that they just figure everybody's going to vote for it, as if they were the Canadian Senate.
All right, I'm a little lost here.
Yeah, I don't even know when they vote for it. I haven't been given any information.
Let me see if I can follow this here. What you're saying is that everyone who runs for state rep in New Hampshire, whether they win or not is essentially on some sort of committee, a large committee, because there'd be a lot of people who could run for state rep here. There's 400 state reps. So a large
Republican nominees, they have to, if they win the nomination, that qualifies.
Which is pretty easy to do, because in a lot of places there's just not even anyone running. So all you have to do is run to
I
win.
did it once.
And,
I got
so Mark is one of these people. You didn't run for state rep. There was some other way that you got elected.
I ran as a delegate to the state convention.
Yeah, so apparently you can just run for delegate as well. And so Mark did this. So what you're saying is the delegates meet and then the delegates select the people who go and vote for Donald Trump or whoever?
The Republican Party big shots select who are going to be the Republican electors of president and vice president, and they present them. I've been there. They present these people to the Republican State Convention and ask the Republican State Convention to go ahead and approve a motion to nominate these four, and these four will be the Republican.
But they don't have to. The state convention could decide to not do what the bigwigs want them to do, is what you're saying.
Imagine that. They could do what the bigwigs don't want them to do. And
what would
actually
that be in this case? I mean, it's not like there's any difference between the Republican candidates.
Well, the Republican bigwigs don't want Donald Trump in office or as their nominee. And Donald Trump is, at this point, presumptive, although it looks like Ted Cruz has got a couple of caucuses.
Today.
Today, these caucuses, I don't know. I guess I don't like being from a state with primaries. I think caucuses are dumb. A bunch of adults standing around in church basements, walking around in corners, deciding who's going to have the nuclear codes sounds insane to me.
Well, what's going on here is that the Republican State Convention usually they support they want, and so does the Republican Party big shots, want electors who will faithfully vote for the Republicans for president and vice president.
Mm-hmm.
But you can pick four people who will vote for, just as say Rand Paul and Carly Fiorina, if the Republicans win in New Hampshire. So you go
Which
to
of course
the
would do nothing, right? I mean, you're talking about two candidates who basically left the race.
But if they get the electoral votes for New Hampshire, that means Donald Trump and David Duke don't get them. I'm making a wisecrack here that David Duke is going to be the running mate of Donald Trump. But
so you are opposing Donald Trump for president?
Exactly. And
but I thought that, Mark, I'm sorry I'm so confused about all this internal party politics, but I thought, Mark, you said that bigwigs don't want Donald Trump to get elected.
He's just pointing out a way that people could use the system to stop Donald Trump from being the nominee. But I got to say, Tom, that's what Republicans want, right? I mean, if the majority of people are voting for Donald Trump, shouldn't he be the nominee for the Republican Party?
No, the delegates did not make any pledge saying ours is not to reason why, ours is just to do or die. In fact, at the beginning of the convention, they pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Appreciate hearing from you tonight. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We can come back to college campuses here, but Brett, curious, what do you think of this whole election situation?
Oh, my gosh. That's really going to open a shipping container filled with snakes.
Okay, great.
Okay,
I like doing that.
I felt in the past presidential elections just so much more self-assured. Like, I really knew the answers. I really knew how to feel about everything that I was observing. Maybe it was simpler in the days of Ron Paul, but I find myself just increasingly confused about what's going on right now. Really, really trying to get my mind around the success of Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, two entirely different issues and explorations, of course. But the appeal of Donald Trump is very, very frightening to me for a number of reasons. And
is that a surprise? I mean, people are pretty authoritarian, so Donald Trump seems to fit right in with that.
Even though I understand it, that people want something different, people are angry, he speaks to that. The vacuousness of a lot of his talking points and responses, it's really, really troubling to me. Even though more vindication for School Sucks Project.
Yeah, vacuous is a good word. I feel like I've dumbed down when I watch him speaking sometimes. It's Free Talk Live.
This is a life-changing message for anyone with sleep apnea who is on the go and tired of dragging around a big, bulky home CPAP device. MiniCPAP.com now offers a portable device that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. For even more freedom, you can add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. It's called the Transcend Mini CPAP, and right now you can try it risk-free for 10 days by calling 1-800-945-9289. Transcend is the world's first portable mini CPAP device. It gives you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere you are. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend is so small and so light you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. Enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. Call minicpap.com now for your 10-day at-home trial. 1-800-945-9289. That's 1-800-945-9289.
We all know that Berkey Water Purification Systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey Water Filtration Systems. The Berkey Light Systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light System today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at GoBerkey.com. That's GoBerkey.com today.
Looking for an excuse to come check out New Hampshire's liberty activism scene this fall? You're invited to Keenvention. Keenvention is your chance to meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire. You can explore the beautiful little city of Keene, discuss various forms of activism with seasoned veterans, have fun at social events like the Hallow Keene Costume Dance Party, and learn about making the move. Keenvention received rave reviews last year. If you missed it, visit keenvention.info for full video coverage of every speaker and panel. Join old and new friends and neighbors in Keene for Keenvention this November 4th through November 6th. Tickets are available now for a special pre-order price of just $50 via credit card or Bitcoin. However, only 100 pre-order tickets are available, so reserve your tickets now at keenvention.info. Visit keenvention.info for more, or look for our page and event on Facebook. That's keenvention.info. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateurs, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. We'll continue on discussing college campuses and one guy who's really stirring it up, gay guy named Milo Yiannopoulos. He's on a speaking tour right now that is offending all manner of different college students and staff. We'll tell you more about that. You can also share your experience, your thoughts. Maybe you have been on a college campus recently as a student or a faculty, and you want to comment on the oppressive nature of some of the things that have been going on there. The free speech is in serious threat on a lot of these college campuses. If you're saying things that certain people don't like to hear, then all of a sudden you'll find out that there isn't free speech on college campuses as much as they might like you to believe. We'll continue that discussion with Brett Venat from the School Sucks Project at School Sucks Project. Is it .com?
.com.
SchoolSucksProject.com. Great podcast, video cast. Let's go, though, first to Ralph, listening in New Jersey. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Ralph.
Yes. Hello, how are you?
Hey, go ahead.
As you very well know by now, I like to believe that the question should be asked to Obama about, this, quote-unquote Black Lives Matter. Because there's no, doubt in anyone's mind, at least in my mind, there's no doubt that he's taking the side of these people, number one, and he's throwing his support with these people. But that being said, the question should be asked, okay? Does white racism has anything to do with, the Black Lives Matter?
Does white what?
Does that racism.
White racism.
White bigotry, I should say. White racism, white bigotry.
First of all, I just want to point out, I don't agree with your premise. You said that Barack Obama is taking the side of Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, he did meet them. He did meet them in the White House.
He met them. Well, that doesn't mean anything unless he's...
It says here, PBS, Obama defends Black Lives Matters movement.
Sure, talk is cheap. Unless Barack Obama actually stops police abuse of people, black people, I guess specifically in this case, then he obviously doesn't care about black people's lives.
Or do something to advance and uplift the plight of blacks in this country. Well, as I said before, this is not only a marginal group. In public opinion, they get a narrow support. Okay, and what
you're saying Black Lives Matter has narrow support in public opinion. Okay.
In public opinion, I'll prove it to you.
All I'm saying is just because some politician sits down with you for an hour and talks and makes some sort of public statement doesn't mean that they're actually going to do something for you. Thanks for the call, Ralph. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. It's one thing for Barack Obama to pander to black people, to make it look like he actually cares about the fact that they're being attacked by police more often statistically than other racial groups. He can act like that, but until he does something as the executive of the United States to change that situation, because he's the top cop basically. then it's all just talk. It's just talk from a politician. It means nothing.
Yeah, I think that the left, for a long time, at least going back to the 1960s, has basically, especially in the ivory towers of the left in academia and in political, like policy making, they've said, okay, who's going to be our next victim sock puppet? Is it going to be women? Is it going to be immigrants? Is it going to be black people? And I forget who came up with the phrase, the soft bigotry. Have you guys heard that before? The soft
Thomas
bigotry.
Sowell?
Yeah, the soft bigotry of low expectations. But all these conversations about, what are we going to do for black people? I question the premise of that question. Like, wouldn't there be, why is the conversation beginning with this assumption that black people don't have responsibility like we all do? Because I think they do. Most black people know they do. And I think that when the left panders to them, a lot of people who are black are really insulted by that. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of these times, like whenever there's a racial flare-up and Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson shows up, you can hear black people in the crowd going, "Get away from us!"
Yeah, you're not
you
our
don't
leaders.
Speak for us. You're not our leader. And they just kind of position themselves in the front of the parade to take advantage of whatever this highly emotional situation is.
And the media does focus on them because they're something familiar.
Oh, that's true. It's a super inflammatory issue, so the media love it. Every chance they get to jump in front of it, they do.
And that's interesting, the soft bigotry of low expectations. Michael Gerson, by the way, is credited with that. Is the idea is that somehow people who aren't of whatever the elite gender and ethnicity is, that and now we're told that genders and ethnicities are just social constructs. So I'm not even sure if I'm allowed, as a somebody who might be identified as a white male, to even use that terminology. But I'll just go ahead and go out on a limb here. Is the idea that somebody doesn't fit into that paradigm is, well, less should be expected from them. But there's a lot of people out there that somehow manage to break through that. Mm-hmm. Maybe the glass ceilings don't exist except in the minds of people who allow them to. Yeah.
And I think that we also can't deny that government actions have hurt, black people by and large. I don't want to use the phrase the black community. I don't know what that means. There's no white community.
Yeah, it depends on what over time, what time frame we're looking at. But yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, the militarization of police, the drug war, the welfare state have all
had disproportionately affected blacks.
But it's had a negative impact on black people. But I don't want to get sucked into like what are we going to do to help black people kinds of conversations.
Well, what you can
get the government out of the way.
Well, yeah, right. What you can do to help black people and all people, because to me it's all lives matter. I'm not one of the Black Lives Matter supporters, but I think their lives matter too.
Saying all lives matter apparently is an evil thing to do.
Offensive. Well, anyway, I think it's true, and that includes the government lives. I want to see the government people become good neighbors. I want to see them treat their neighbors with respect and leave people alone who wish to be left alone. I think that right now, the government guys are doing some bad things to a lot of people. And so if Barack Obama actually cared about this, he could rein in the war on drugs, for instance. That's one thing. Could reschedule the different drugs on the drug schedule, stop the DEA from enforcing the insane war on drugs, and basically shut it down. He could do that as the president. He has the ability to control the DEA, I believe. And so, that would affect black people's lives and other people's lives as well. And that would actually, help a lot of people be more free and, not be in prison. That'd be a big change, I think, a step in the right direction. And then, as you said, Mark, get out of the way. Well, that's more of a local government thing because they stand in the way of poor people. And, of course, poor people tend to disproportionately be of minorities. But standing in the way of all poor people from creating wealth for themselves by creating government regulations that basically prohibit people from starting their own business and getting out of the rat race and creating some sort of product or service that they can market. It's the government that stands in the way. So you've got government standing in the way of black people and others from creating their own wealth for themselves, not working for someone else. And so therefore, well, if they can't start their own business legally, well, then let's go sell some drugs because That's one way you can start your own business without having to ask some government permission.
Not in most metros. You can't start your own business by selling drugs. You'll get knocked off by the people who claim the particular territories. So, that makes it very difficult. In many cases, I can tell you in Chicago, it's been reported that people that choose to work for gangs and sell drugs oftentimes make less than minimum wage for the amount of hours they put in.
Wow.
They could do better by putting on the McDonald's uniform and smiling while they hand you a bag of pink slime. Then what's that?
I've never heard those statistics before.
Once the industry gets locked down enough, the money tends to flow uphill, right?
Huh.
So that's all I'm saying. I don't know the specifics. I certainly have not infiltrated
Normally the reason you get into selling drugs is because there's good money in it. So I can't imagine
you
why
might get into drugs because you don't feel like you have any other selling drugs because you don't have any other options. There's not there's not other options in your neighborhood.
I've never met those people, but I don't live in those neighborhoods, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
And, back to the issue, we can focus on what the government does, but I also think that the Black Lives Matter movement needs to be called to the carpet as well. And I think this is a phenomenon, by and large, and it doesn't matter cause or race. Individuals are certainly capable of being smart and reasonable. Groups are usually idiots. Once you have that kind of collective mass hysteria momentum, and because this is by and large a movement, a fairly low information movement for young people who lack a kind of historical perspective, they are superimposing the racism that they learn about in college, like 1960s Mississippi, 1870s Reconstruction South, onto their experience in the world in the 21st century. And it's not the same. It's a disconnection from reality. So I think that, yes, racism exists. Yes, the experience for different races, there's definitely a distinction, but they can't apply, that harshness of the 1960s or the Reconstruction South onto their experiences today. And I wish that would be clarified.
Our toll-free number tonight here, 855-450-FREE. You can join us on the radio waves. It's the live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. Hour 2 coming up.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. After a rise of over 2% yesterday, in early trading Friday, gold is up $7 at $1,278 per ounce. Silver is 34 cents higher at $15.60 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $420 US. Both gold and silver are making big moves this week and may have seen recent bottoms. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Temporarily from the Old Dominion of Richmond, Virginia, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, March 5th, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.52 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,259 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $411. Antiwar.com reports a U.S. drone strike against the southern Yemeni province of Shabwa destroyed a car and killed 4 unidentified people within, who were all quickly labeled suspected al-Qaeda militants. Locals reported finding al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula propaganda brochures on the ground near the destroyed car, which appears to be the source of the conclusion that the slain were somehow linked to al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. The Shabwa province, like much of the eastern portion of the country, is sparsely populated, and while there was some fighting last summer over the main highways between the pro-Saudi forces and the Shiite Houthis, neither is believed to have a serious foothold in the province itself. Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula's main territorial holdings are on the southern coast of Yemen, including the Hadramaut capital of Mukalla, which they seized early in the Saudi war and which neither side has made a serious attempt to recapture.
You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. That's shop.fppradio.com.
UPI reports Secretary of State John Kerry canceled a trip to Cuba due to disagreements over which dissidents President Barack Obama will meet with during his upcoming visit. According to a U.S. official, common agreement was lacking between the State Department and the Cuban government over aspects of Kerry's trip, including political dissidents Obama intends to meet with when he arrives in Havana on March 21st for a one-day visit. It will be the first time in nearly 90 years that a sitting U.S. president will arrive on Cuban soil. Obama has said he would not visit Cuba until progress on human rights was evident. When announcing his visit in February, though, Obama said he hopes to engage with the Cuban people. Cuban leader Raul Castro has been supportive of the thaw in U.S.-Cuba relations, but has insisted the country's political system and socialist nature of the revolution will stay unchanged. Cuban activists say several dozen political prisoners are in jail, and many more have been detained for brief periods. 1,414 political dissidents were detained in January, according to Elizardo Sanchez of the Cuban Commission for Human Rights and the National Reconciliation. Kerry told the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on February 24th he planned to visit Cuba to prepare for Obama's trip and have a human rights dialogue, but his plans were officially canceled on Thursday when arrangements could not be made.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports the U.S. Supreme Court, 2 days after hearing a major abortion case from Texas, on Friday temporarily blocked a Louisiana law imposing regulations on doctors who perform abortions in a move that would allow 2 recently closed clinics to reopen. In a brief order, the court granted a request by abortion providers seeking to reinstate a lower court injunction that blocked the Republican-backed 2014 law, which required doctors to obtain a formal affiliation with a local hospital. The abortion providers contend the law was designed to shut down abortion clinics by requiring hospital admitting privileges that are difficult for their doctors to secure. Louisiana will now have 4 clinics in total. The order noted that one of the 8 justices, conservative Clarence Thomas, said he would have denied the application. The order said the court's action was in line with its decision in June to temporarily block parts of a Texas abortion law that was challenged by abortion providers in a high-profile case. The justices heard oral arguments in that case on Wednesday. The High Court's action sent mixed signals, however, on how it might rule on the Texas case, in part because the justices previously allowed the Texas admitting privileges provision to go into effect. The Texas case also involves a separate provision that requires clinics to have costly hospital-grade facilities. The law in Louisiana was signed by Governor Bobby Jindal, a Republican, in 2014. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Shortly after posting for the 10,000th time on his Twitter account earlier today, despite only ever accumulating 15 followers, local man Aaron Gartner announced he's about ready to quit the popular microblogging site.
Well, I opened my account about 2 years ago and tweeted pretty much every day since, and it didn't really turn out like I expected. I thought, once I hit 8,000 tweets, I could get some traction, start getting more followers, but it never really happened. I mean, I gave it my best shot, I guess, but I think I'm about done here.
He has yet to be followed by anyone beyond a handful of friends, family members, and seemingly inactive accounts.
This one time I tweeted out a pretty good joke about how out of control Lindsay Lohan is, and it actually got me a retweet. It was from this guy in Argentina I don't know, who doesn't have any followers, and he's not following anyone else. Oh, hold on a sec. Apparently my aunt's following me now. Cool.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, launching into the second hour of the live Saturday edition of the program. It's Ian here with you.
Brett.
And Mark.
And we invite you to our website. Go to freetalklive.com. You can actually create the content right there on the front page of the site. Other listeners have submitted news items, YouTube videos, fun stuff, whatever they find online they think's interesting. They can go to freetalklive.com just as you can and submit whatever you want. It's a Reddit-based system, so it's totally free to use. Just go and get your account set up at freetalklive.com. As we go to the phones and your calls and thoughts. We've been talking about Milo Yiannopoulos, who is a gay guy going around from college campus to college campus and on a speaking tour, basically with the intention of being an iconoclast. He's destroying ideas, these ideas of safe spaces, and what else, Brett?
Well, an iconoclast has, I think, implied in it like he's just going against the grain to go against the grain. And I think he gets a great deal of pleasure from doing that, for sure. Mm-hmm. But I think he sees himself as a kind of truth teller. You know, he's bringing the facts, and he wants basically the facts to be called prejudice, the facts to be called racist, the people to demand that the facts be thrown out. So this is a kind of test. He wants to break down these safe spaces, and I see him as being a kind of hero if part of his goal, and I don't know that this is the case, but if part of his goal, instead of just to be an antagonizer, is to actually try to return the college environment to a place of learning and sharing ideas and intellectual discomforts, which is how learning and growth happen, then I'm all for that. I think that this is a really laudable effort.
Well, Mark, you had an article written by him. We'll continue that here in a moment, but you can also bring up what's on your mind. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Let's go to David in Kansas to start out the hour. David, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Brent, and Mark.
We can wait.
Brett. Hello, are you having a conversation there? Because you're on the radio.
Oh, we are. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we were just talking about the safe spaces and how that's kind of turns on. It's against freedom of speech. Those campuses should be open to ideas and the free flow of thought. That was kind of a surprise to just get on the radio. Anyway, I'm here with my brother. I have pledged the Free State Movement. I think my number is 19,572 or something. I have not. Yeah, he has. I'm trying to convince him to come up, but we were just talking about how we didn't have a topic to really talk about, and how maybe you could bounce an idea. What are you guys talking about this evening?
Really? You just called in and you were placed on hold and you don't even know what we were talking about.
Well, safe spaces.
You had already commented on what we were talking about, so it would seem like you had already known, at least to some extent. We're discussing college campuses, as you already addressed. Now, Brett, you're a Free State Project early mover. What is the Free State Project for those who don't know?
I'm not a mover.
No. Brett, I said Brett, the guy in the studio here.
I'm Brett, and what were you asking me, Ian?
Since he brought up the Free State Project, what is the Free State Project for our listeners who don't know?
All right. Well, the Free State Project is an effort, a movement to get 20,000 liberty-minded people to move to New Hampshire and to get active in one way or another for the cause of freedom. So that's why all of us are here.
And that's what David said that he had signed up for, that you were one of the final 1,000 signers. So congratulations on that, David. What's your time frame you're looking at to make the move to New Hampshire?
I'm going to be in Virginia probably in the next couple of months, and then I'll blast off from Virginia and see what's up. I hope to be up there in June for the Porcupine Festival. I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. That'll be a little bit tight.
Sounds like a fine plan. We'll look forward to seeing you here when you get here. Thanks for the call tonight. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Yeah, a lot of people all around the country and around the world are making plans to get here to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project. It's obviously a little more challenging for people who live internationally to move to New Hampshire due to pesky immigration laws and things like that. But nonetheless, people are putting in the effort, they're putting in the time, the money to join together with 20,000 other people and to get up here to New Hampshire. We've got over, I think, 1,900 people who are here now as early movers as part of the Free State Project, and thousands more still to come. So it's very, very exciting. And what that will do for education, I don't know. It'll be interesting because we've got a lot of people who move here and they've got kids who aren't in college yet, but they're unschooling them or homeschooling, which is very, very popular amongst a lot of the Liberty community here. Although I don't know if can you get a college degree through unschooling? Is that
you can't get a college degree, but colleges will certainly accept people who have had alternative forms of education. In fact, they look to get that variety, so it makes it in some cases easier to get into some of these universities.
As a former college consultant, I will tell you that even really good schools like Ivy League schools, they like people who have interesting stories. I helped a girl from South Vietnam. Honestly, she probably had the reading and writing level of maybe like a 9th or a 10th grader, and I helped her apply to Harvard.
And she got in.
They were excited to take her. Yeah.
Let's go to Derek listening in Indianapolis to WIBC FM. Derek, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Thank you. First time calling in to
Welcome,
Free Talk
sir.
Live.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure.
I want to talk about the race issue. Number one, you are way off base when you talk about blacks have it better than in Mississippi, as if Mississippi in the 1960s was the only place in America, or Birmingham or the South, that had racism. New York, all these other
Who said
states,
blacks had it better in Mississippi? Was that someone on this show?
No. What you alluded to was that the overt forms of racism has, been eliminated. Therefore, you alluded to, you didn't say better, but you said the alternative is we have it better because our experience is we can't resonate with someone having overt racism like in Birmingham or Mississippi, so we can't resonate with racism as it is today. So therefore, we shouldn't be in the state. We shouldn't be transferring that experience to today, as if the only places that had racism were the overt forms. It's more dangerous now to have these covert forms of racism that are killing. The system is killing black people, black boys especially, locking them up, enslaving them in jails and having them rot away for years for nothing. Now, forgive the loose analogy, but what if this, and you talk about personal responsibility too, what if, someone in Nazi Germany, would you tell a Jewish person to have personal responsibility for not being sent to a concentration camp? No, the system is still the same way as it was, such as places like Nazi Germany, as it is now. The system is taking us and killing us, putting us in these, so-called these prisons that are reminiscent to gas chambers, killing us.
I'm not sure I disagree with much of what you're saying. I think the drug war is that you can't discuss racism in America without discussing the drug war. But at the same time, that I guess all I care about is sort of the legal system and how it prevents or allows people to interact, I guess. And I do think that the legal system seems, for whatever reason, the drug war disproportionately affects blacks than it does whites.
I think we all agree with that. I have a little bit of trouble with the Nazi Germany analogy, a systematic.
Of course you do, because those are white people that were taken through a system of oppression.
Actually, didn't Hitler kill a lot of black people too?
Well, they couldn't leave either.
Hitler had a very specific type of white person that he liked. and everybody else was out of luck. But it was a systematic extermination of Jews, gypsies, people in surrounding states. And, you know, it brings up an interesting thing, because the progressive movement in this country, like in the early 20th century, they did have an active eugenics program that targeted blacks. And I think that the caller has brought up something interesting. I still don't like the analogy of Nazi Germany to today, but if Nazi Germany was bad for eugenics, which it certainly was, the United States did have something like that at one point targeted towards blacks, and I'd be willing to talk about that more after the break.
Derek, thanks for your call. I appreciate it. This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE.
Imagine your life 5 years from now. Are you on the path you want to be on? It's time to take control of your future by getting a world-class education from one of the nation's top universities. Arizona State University is now offering over 100 top-tier degree programs 100% online. It's the exact same degree our on-campus students receive, but you can learn from anywhere in the country on your own schedule. For information, call 1-800-939-9426. Learn from ASU's world-renowned faculty and use ASU's global recognition to improve your visibility, professional network, and gain real-world experience you can start using today. The Wall Street Journal ranked ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates. Now discover how ASU Online can stand out on your resume and help separate you from the competition. We're ready to help you learn to thrive in your life, in your career, and beyond. To learn more about ASU online degrees, call 1-800-939-9426. That's 1-800-939-9426.
What would your life be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling better than you have in years, and you noticed a difference in your sleeping patterns, blood sugar levels, and had a sense of well-being overall? There's something that is changing thousands of people's lives, and you could be one of them. It's called Heart and Body Extract. Sharon Harris, co-creator of Heart and Body Extract, talks about the positive effects of Heart and Body Extract.
What happens with the formula Heart and Body Extract is it's giving the body the necessary vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes, and phytonutrients so the body will heal itself. And yes, the body does have the ability to balance blood pressure, balance cholesterol, clean and unclog the arteries. It can also work on balancing the circulation for diabetics. So the body is an amazing thing. It simply needs some help so it has the tools to heal itself.
Heart and Body Extract gets results. To order your 2-month supply, call now, toll free at 866-295-5305. Order online at hbextract.com.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a Liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, the live Saturday edition. We have time for you if you want to join us here at 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We've got Ian and Mark in the studio as normal. Brett Venat is here from the School Sucks Project. I screwed up and called him Brent earlier. I have to apologize for that. I used to work with a guy named Brent in radio, and so sometimes I get the two of you confused.
Monkey Boy?
Monkey Boy. Yeah, that's right. He got sick recently, but I think he's doing all right. Anyway, you can join us here, and you can also join Brett over on his show, which is the School Sucks Project, and that's done weekly.
Usually about bi-weekly. We've been averaging two
once
per
every
week.
2 weeks?
No, 2 per week.
Okay, because it can mean either, right?
No, I think one would be semi-weekly and one would be bi-weekly. Semi-weekly would mean...
Semi-weekly always means half of or whatever, like so twice a week in that case.
We'll get all this sorted out.
But bi-weekly, I believe, can mean both. I believe it can mean either one. It's one of those English things.
Yeah, that's English for you.
So anyway, Brett's here. SchoolSucksProject.com is his website. And speaking of other great websites, I want you to know about the 101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire. We were just talking a few moments ago with a couple of guys or one of them was planning on moving to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project. And if you've yet to decide whether or not you want to join us in New Hampshire, if you love liberty and you're hearing about the Free State Project and you think it sounds exciting, you think it sounds like something you want to be a part of, or maybe you're not so sure about it, learn more about why we came here. Because there were 101 reasons that really convinced me back in the day, like back in 2002 or 2003, they came out with this list. And then in 2014, we turned the list into not feature length, but a documentary film, an hour long. It's all 101 reasons crammed into an hour-long presentation, and it's excellent. I highly recommend you watch it. It's free to watch online. Just go to 101reasonsfilm.com. If you love liberty, you owe it to yourself to block off an hour of time and check this documentary out. It's great. 101reasonsfilm.com. As we go to the phones, to the fun. We'll go first to Doug in Minnesota. You're on Free Talk Live, listening online. Hey, Doug.
Guys, I'm listening on your app, which rocks.
Hey, thanks. The LRN.FM app?
Yes, I love it. I listen to it all the time. It's my major way I get your stuff now.
You know, we don't talk much about downloading that on this show. I believe you can go to apps.lrn.fm, and yep, that's how you get to it. You can get the Android or the iOS version. It makes it super easy to tune into LRN.fm, which features Free Talk Live when we are live. It also features the School Sucks Project when
awesome.
It is not live because your show is not live, but it still features it nonetheless. So go ahead, Doug.
Hey, I'm fresh off the boat from Anarchapulco down there, and speaking of School Sucks,
Wussy.
Dana Martin. Ha!
You went to Anarchapulco when you could have come up to New Hampshire right in the heart of wintertime?
It's a nice event.
Yeah. It was 85 degrees. Man, I'm from Minnesota, so this is a big deal for me, man. I got a suntan.
All right. What about Dana Martin, the homeschooling/unschooling advocate?
Yeah, she did a workshop there, like a 4-hour workshop, and it's available on Watch My Bit for very affordable Bitcoin amounts, like under $4, I believe.
Cool.
But
and the workshop was about what?
Unschooling your kids and the benefits of unschooling. Plus, her story was really fascinating. How she was on Wife Swap and some of the behind-the-scenes comments that went on there between the families and stuff that did not make it to the air.
What was that like? I did see the Wife Swap episode with Dana Martin.
I don't even want to tell you because it's almost – well, I mean, I do, but there's one thing that's just heartbreaking, and she's such a woman of honor. She didn't repeat the thing that the other lady's daughter said to her, and all the producers ran downstairs. Can you make her say it again? And she just wouldn't do it. So I'm gonna.
You have to watch the video, Mark, if you want to know what happened.
Exactly.
I see.
Right.
Watchmybit.com, right?
Yeah, just do a search for unschooling. And you were also talking about Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah, something like
that.
He
was there too.
Oh, no way! I should have gone.
Yeah. He was there. Larkin Rose was there. Barry Cooper's first public appearance in 5 years.
Wow.
Now, those are available for like 79 cents, 96 cents. Larkin Rose is 96 cents, and all the funds go to Larkin's the Mirror Project, and Barry's funds go to Free Ross. So,
Awesome. Barry's great. I love Barry Cooper. That would have been a good reason to go to an Acapulco, but we had a lot of fun up here in New Hampshire at the Liberty Forum. They were happening basically the same weekend. So all the most hardcore activists came to New Hampshire for the Liberty Forum, and all the wussies went down to an Acapulco.
I disagree. I think it's a great event.
Was there?
Is Roger Ver who went down there? Is he a
Roger
wussy?
can't come to America.
But he would have been really brave if he came to the Liberty Forum, though, wouldn't he?
That's true.
Okay.
More so than Edward Snowden.
Roger is now available. He can now go to America.
Really?
But yes.
He just doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to go to New Hampshire, right? But anyway, guys, I just wanted to say things were clicking to here. We got Milo's video and Dana's video and so many other ones. A lot of Acapulco stuff, and most of the money goes to other causes like the Free Ross campaign and the speakers themselves, who now are all Bitcoiners. Before this, I don't think Sasha Daygame, who was a famous pickup artist, was into Bitcoin. He is now.
You've been working it, huh, Doug? You've been working the Bitcoin angle.
I've been working it. Exactly.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, of course.
Doug's great. He was at we were at the Coins in the Kingdom with him, and he was pitching the bartender at the hotel, and just like anybody he comes across, he'll pitch him on Bitcoin. And I've been using your approach of offering tips in Bitcoin recently, Doug, and it works very, very well. We've been doing a floating Bitcoin meetup here in Keene, where every month we go to a different restaurant and basically pitch the server. If there's a manager around, we'll pitch them too, but that hasn't happened yet. Pitch the server on taking a tip in Bitcoin. So the idea is you offer to tip them. You're going to tip them in cash. So you give them a good cash tip, and then you say, hey, I'll double your decent cash tip if you will take the doubling in Bitcoin. So they get their cash tip, and then you would give them twice as much. You give them the same amount in cash, basically, in Bitcoin, if they are willing to do that. And that is usually enough to incentivize them. If they're not running around, dealing with 20 different tables, if they've got enough time to kind of listen and pay attention to you, that has been successful 2 out of 4 times that we've tried it so far.
Sometimes they're probably just too busy to open a wallet.
Well, in one case, the 2 times it didn't work, one case it was one of those community pooled tips where they just have like a tip jar for the entire staff. That's a little difficult to pull off. You'd have to convince all the staff to take Bitcoin. And so that one didn't work. And then there was another one where the girl seemed like she wanted to do it, but she didn't have her phone with her. It was probably one of those rules where you can't bring your phone to work kind of thing. So 2 times we got it to work, 2 times not. And Doug, you inspired that. So thanks for that.
Good.
And check out watchmybit.com. It's a cool site. Appreciate your call tonight. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Carol. She's in Alaska. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Carol, where are you in Alaska tonight? Carol?
Sitka.
Sitka. I don't know where that is. Is that by
It's spelled Siltka, S-I-L-T-K-A?
S-I-T-A. It was the first capital of Alaska.
Sitka.
The Russian capital.
Sitka.
Is it over by Anchorage, or is it up the northern part of the state?
It's down off of an island off of.
I'll have to look that
Can
up.
you drive from there to Seattle?
Hold that thought. I think she's listening on her radio. It sounds like she's listening in the background. Carol, hang on. We're going to bring it back here. 855-450-FREE. We'll have our board op check in with you. You never want to have the radio turned up in the background because it will be super confusing when you actually get on the phone with us. It's Free Talk Live.
No other network provides the level of customer service we do. When it comes to radio advertising, we are your one-stop shop. And no matter how big or small your business is, we can help. Email us at advertise@gcnlive.com, and an experienced advertising executive will help you take the first step towards driving more customers to your business or website. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
Don't know what's in your drinking water? Better get a ProPure. With the Pro 1 G2.0 all-in-one filter, remove over 200 contaminants, including fluoride and lead. Taste water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure water filtration products. There's a ProPure system for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details on our current free shipping special or ProPureUSA.com. That's PROPURUSA.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
It is Free Talk Live. Join us here toll free, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. And you can join us online. Just head on over to freetalklive.com. Enjoy the features on our site. We give them to you. Those other talk show hosts want to charge you for accessing their websites. Ours is free, but it's not free for us to run the site. So if you'd like to help us fund things behind Free Talk Live, one of the ways you can do that is by shopping with us. Go to shop.freetalklive.com. Enter Amazon through the links you'll find there. There's Amazon UK, Canada, US. You click into the right Amazon for you. Get your shopping taken care of. Get the stuff you're looking for. And help Free Talk Live out at the same time, because we get a cut of the sale. It's the same great Amazon prices you're used to. You're just entering through our affiliate link so they know to send us a portion of their business. So thank you for doing that in advance. It makes a big difference for us when you do so. Go to shop.freetalklive.com. Again, that's shop.freetalklive.com. The nice lady from Alaska sadly was unable to apparently get to her radio to turn it down, so she decided to instead drop off the line. It's again just a reminder for our callers. We'd love to talk to you about whatever's on your mind, but if the radio's on in the background, it's going to drive everyone crazy. You're not going to understand what's going on. We're not going to understand what people are talking about. So just one of those rules of talk radio. Let's go to George. He's calling from the road in Virginia, listening online via TuneIn. Hello, George.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hey.
I appreciate you taking my call.
Sure. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I'd like to make a point about racism in America.
All right.
I am from Mississippi. I have lived in the eastern Arkansas, Mississippi area for 40 years of my life, all 40 of them. And I can explain to you that ignorance is a universal subject. I've recently just come back on my way back home from a trip from New Jersey, and I ran into a gentleman, and we had a discussion. And I told him I was from Mississippi, and he said, well, I probably wouldn't want to go there because I would probably get lynched. This is what I usually have. Because I am an ambassador to the South, I always explain this, that in 40 years of life, I have never once seen a man in a white sheet nor a pillowcase with 2 holes cut in it. I've never seen a burning cross unless it's on the side of a Methodist church.
For those that don't know, the Methodist symbol has the flame of Pentecost next to the cross, and it is by no means a racist symbol.
And what I'd like to make the point is, if America is such a racist country, and we're so racist towards black Americans, then why is if you take a look around a professional sports arena, why is it that most of the players are black, but yet most of the people in the stands are white? Or take a look at Will Smith. Look how much wealth he has amassed. Because I can assure you, I know what the census says, and the census is only 10 to 12% black in this country. So if we're truly such a racist country, then why do you deem the success of many of these people?
Well, don't you think these are kind of selective examples, and by focusing on them, like just really playing devil's advocate, but I do agree with what I'm saying here. By just focusing on these selective examples, you're kind of overlooking the experiences that a lot of people are having, especially in places where maybe you haven't spent a lot of time, like downtown Baltimore, downtown Houston, places like that.
Well, I grew up in a city that was 80% black. And I can assure you I see more reverse racism, mainly from the black leadership trying to keep the good black citizens down. Take example, the city that I grew up in, 10,000, Eastern Arkansas. We had a school district that was dead last in the state of Arkansas. And we had some exceptional students. We tried to get what's known as a magnet school. Now, when I was in school, they were experimenting with Common Core. But what it basically does, it doesn't allow people to get up. When you're keeping people down, I don't care what color you are, when you're keeping people down and keeping them under your thumb, then you don't allow them freedom to grow. We had a lot of intelligent people of all races where I grew up, and we didn't get an opportunity because the black leaders of the community thought it would be a disadvantage for the other students that wasn't learning at such a fast level.
So they didn't want help coming from some other direction. They kind of said, no, these are our victims. You know, it's our job to pretend we're going to help them.
Exactly. And much to the chagrin of many students, and most of the children, there was about 30 to 40 really intelligent children that come out of there, went on to college and received degrees, played college basketball, a little bit of, everything, kind of mixed, very intelligent kids. But they were denied a decent education because the leaders of the community did not want people to rise above and get out from under their thumb.
Well, this is pretty typical, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what the color of the people who – and by the way, I don't like the term leaders. These politicians aren't leaders. They don't lead me, and they don't lead most people. In fact, you'd be a fool to follow a politician anywhere. But generally, the people in power – they wield power over people of the same color and people of different color. They wield power because it benefits them and it benefits their friends. And some people wield power because they are racist, because they do want to oppress people who are different from them. But most people just wield power because of power. They just love to be in control of other human beings. It's something that, gets them off to some extent. And it's a problem across all skin colors.
Yes, I agree with you. And also in my town, when I was a child growing up, it was 25,000, and we had 2 major industries. One was Mohawk Tire, and because of a strike led by those same leaders, as whatever you want to call them, it caused our plant to close, and pretty much now the town's about 10,000 because we have no industry left. But their big thing was that, hey, we saved the union, but everybody lost their jobs.
Great.
The story of the state of Michigan, too.
George, great call tonight. Thanks for making it. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE.
I certainly don't want to see anybody held back because of the color of their skin, but I also think that sometimes people racial discrimination to some extent is in the eyes of the perceiver. I believe that I remember, I don't have it right in front of me, but I believe I remember Michelle Obama being, saying that her and Barack had been asked to go get a cup of coffee one time for somebody, and the assumption was that he was probably dressed in a tuxedo and that he looked like
a servant.
A servant, right? And I can see why somebody might perceive it that way, but I've been in Home Depot wearing an orange shirt before, and I've been asked questions, usually by women, usually by older women, usually by older white women, about sort of, what is this product or service? How does it work? What is this product? How does it work? How do you use this? And you know what I do? I answer the question as best I possibly can for them.
Sure.
And if I can't answer the question, I say, let me get somebody who works here for you. Oh, you don't work here? And I guess I just have that look of the guy that works at Home Depot. And that's fine by me. Look. I don't think that's, I don't find that I don't think that's disparaging to me because I don't believe I'm better than the people that work at Home Depot.
Right. Toll-free number. Oh, go ahead.
I think that's different, though.
Okay, why is it?
I mean, you couldn't see like somebody who was a law student or like the head of the Harvard Law Review.
I'm a nationally syndicated radio talk show host. I'm on 170 stations across the country. I could be indignant as I possibly wanted to be with these people.
I agree.
I could spit in that old liberal lady's face and make her feel stupid. But I don't do that because there's no reason for it. If she needs help getting a bag of cement into her cart, I do that because I am not better than the guy at Home Depot who would do it.
It's a nice
not.
thing to do for people.
That is.
Well, it's not nice. I believe it's an obligation. I believe that that service is an opportunity that I have for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody asked me for a cup of coffee, I'd ask them, "Do you take cream or sugar?" And then I might make a joke about, only sissies take cream or sugar. But whatever. That would be something that would be fine. Let's get you a cup of coffee. If you want a cup of coffee, let's go. Let's get you a cup of coffee real quick like.
What do you think, Ian? Do you think there's something in his subconscious that makes him put on that orange shirt when he knows he's going to Home Depot?
I don't have it anymore. It got old. I really, really liked it.
Sometimes it doesn't matter what you're wearing. You'll still get it. You'll still get it.
Yeah.
I'll get it at Walmart.
You're just young.
Well, I carry around a two-way radio, and sometimes that'll trigger it.
Yeah.
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. And unlike Mark, I will do my best to answer whatever the question is. I'll let them know, well, I don't work here, but I think what you're looking for might be over in this area, because I've been in the store often enough to where I kind of know the layout. 855-450-FREE. You can join us here. It's Free Talk Live.
February is National Heart Month, and chances are you have a cardiovascular issue like I do. I help maintain my healthy heart by drinking Super Beets. It's a superfood powder that I mix with water, but you can mix it with yogurt or put it in a smoothie, whatever you want. Not only does it help boost my circulation and support my healthy blood pressure naturally, but I feel the energy and stamina boost in about 20 minutes, which no other superfood formula guarantees. All the beets from Super Beets come from one non-GMO farm in California, so they can keep a close eye on the production of the dietary nitrates. I want you to try this product for National Heart Month. And if you don't feel the results, you don't pay, guaranteed. Get a 30-day supply free with your first order. You also get nitric oxide indicator strips so that you can see it's working. Plus, get the free book, Beat the Odds. And all of this comes with free shipping. Call 800-951-8940 or visit FTLBeats.com. I believe in Super Beets. 800-951-8940, FTLBeats.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
You're right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, live Saturday edition. Plenty of time for you to join us here at 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free number, 855-450-3733. Skype username for you is LRN.FM. With you in studio, it's Ian,
Brett,
and Mark.
And we're going to continue here, go right back into your calls and thoughts. We'll start with Chris. He's in Virginia listening to WNIS in Virginia Beach. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, you're on the radio. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was working, and I listen to WNIS a lot, and I heard the last caller saying, if America was so racist, why are there so many black men in the NBA? Why is Will Smith rich? Things like this. This is what we as black people, when we hear things like this, this is what makes us angry. You can't sit there and say just because there are a few hundred men in the NBA because a sport is dominated by black men that the country is not racist. That's like saying, there's no discrimination against gays and lesbians because Will and Grace is on the air, or there's no discrimination against
I don't think I agree with what you're saying.
Will and Grace is kind of funny because it was played by a heterosexual guy.
I don't think what the caller was saying was that there was no racism. I think what he was saying was that the country isn't through and through racist, like that there isn't a huge problem with it.
No, there is. That is the point, because the fact that people like him would sit there and say something like that when it's pretty obvious and you can prove that these things are going on. It's not like Jim Crow was 200 years ago. This is things that my grandparents lived through. Jim Crow.
Sure.
My father lived through things to where his mother was discriminated against, and they were put into the projects, and his mother tried to get out, but there were housing practices that were going on that were that were sponsored by the government. We're talking about things that were ingrained in the government, not just people in general, but our country has been raised on racist principles, whether it be when the Constitution was first signed, where we weren't even counted as people, to the Jim Crow laws, to the laws governing, housing and things like that. These things were all basically endorsed by the government of our country. So you can't just say that there's no racism.
I don't think he was saying that.
Yeah, you understand that we're not saying that, and I actually agree with you.
No, I understand that you're not saying that.
Yeah.
But there are people that think like him,
I don't think he was saying
No,
that.
I didn't like the way he said it, because I actually do agree with the caller that it had this kind of feel of sweeping things under the rug a little bit to me.
Correct.
And I say, yeah, let's hear from George, what did he call himself, an ambassador to the South? Let's hear from Black Lives Matter. Let's hear from racial realists, and let's have everybody put their cards on the table and argue it out. I think that in my perfect world, and maybe I'm being naive here, I would like to hear that deliberation. The problem that we started talking about at the beginning of the show is that all of the discussion about this is off the table in the media, in the alternative media, like the Twitter sphere, and especially in academia. We are seeing this tyranny of speech, basically, where it's like you can either agree with us or you're a racist. And that's really, really troubling as far as the exchange of ideas and the freedom of speech are concerned. I mean, do you agree that that's a problem? I totally agree with what you're saying. There is a history of institutional racism in the United States. I brought it up earlier in the show, and we didn't get to it. They were sterilizing black people, the progressives, the same leftists that, the same ideology that today supports Bernie Sanders. 100 years ago, these people had plans to euthanize black people in certain areas of the country.
Well, to be honest, to say that these are the same people that are supporting Bernie
Same
Sanders,
ideology. Same ideology.
We have to go through. We have to talk about Reconstruction. The Dixiecrats became Republicans. These aren't the same people of the same party. Those Democrats became Republicans.
Well, no,
he was talking about progressives as opposed to, progressivism was what progressivism was at the turn of the century, and it's different than it is today. But what do you think about this sort of the soft bigotry of low expectations? We were talking about that a little bit earlier. The idea that but we should make things easier for certain groups of people, and that they just can't achieve as much as the rest of us. What do you think about that?
Well, in some instances, I think it's needed. I think we need affirmative action. We still need it because we're not on the level playing field. I remember there was an uproar about that video that was shown in a high school. I forgot where it was. I think it was about a month ago, about the finish line and how we start from one point and you have others that start from, white America starts from one point. It's mainly true. When you have hundreds of years of oppression of a people, they're not going to be on the same. We're never going to be on the same. Start at the same place.
So that's kind of like white privilege as it's understood.
I've got to speak because you start off at a different place when you have money that goes from generation to generation. The wealth and the power is transferred from generation to generation. We are left behind. A lot of wealth in America, as you know, is built on owning property, owning homes, owning these things that we've never had to.
And a lot of property of blacks, especially in black areas, has been burned down by whites, and that's why they're starting from a farther point. But let me tell you this story. I got a friend who's from Romania, communist Romania, before the Iron Curtain fell. He came over here to the United States. He had an opportunity to study in school. He came with $100 in his pocket and a scholarship. He worked, he worked his way out of poverty, and he is now very comfortable. I wouldn't call him rich, but I'm call him very comfortable. When I explained white privilege to him, he said, "Kiss my butt." I would like you to rebut to a Romanian who, he's white, but he doesn't have any of the privilege that is explained here, how he clawed his way up with an accent, with $100 in his pocket, how he can do it. And then there's this thing called white privilege that somehow holds other people back.
That can happen. That can happen with any race. Any race could come here with $100 in their pocket, and they're able to work hard enough to do that. But also there have been as you say, institutionalized racism, which has kept people of color down. Not only people of color, but poor people, period. This is not, I think some people get caught up on the black and white thing, but it really is a thing of being poor.
I totally agree with that.
I think poor people are held down more than anything, but the majority of blacks are poor, and we have been that way for a long time.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was saying earlier tonight, Chris. And it comes back to what you were saying about the level playing field. a lot of people want to use the government to try to level the playing field, but the problem is when that happens is inevitably all that does is it benefits the politically connected. So I think in order to have a truly level playing field, we need to get the government out of the way, because I agree with you that it's the government holding poor people down, and of course that disproportionately affects black people. And it is definitely a class issue. So if the government steps out of the way and then people can start their own businesses without having to beg for permission from some government bureaucrat, or these business regulations are placed at a level where the average person cannot reach them, or certainly poor people cannot reach them, only the rich and well-connected can jump through these hoops in order to start a business up. In a lot of places, you can't even run a business out of your home, which is, of course, the best way to start a business.
I agree with you at some points. My mother did the same thing. She tried to run a business out of her home, and she got in trouble because she was a real big person on coupons, and she would get certain items that she would try to sell them out of her home. She got in trouble for that. But
what city was that in? Where did they go after her for that?
In Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk, Virginia.
She was selling things out of her homes, and somebody found out, and they told her
some bureaucrat. They threatened her. They said that if you keep selling things from your home, we're going to put you in handcuffs. You're going to go to jail, because ultimately that's
they didn't say that, but that's what they meant.
That's what everyone knows. What happens? Hey, thanks for the call, Chris. I do appreciate hearing from you, man. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts tonight. Toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. It's those stories where, the grandma or the mother is selling something out of their house, government cracks down, somebody doing hair braiding from their home, someone cooking in their home for other people. These are all illegal in a lot of cities in America. To run any kind of business out of your home is illegal in a lot of places. And this is how people their entrepreneurial spirit is crushed by the state. And people of all shapes, colors, and sizes, and ages, and genders. This affects anybody who doesn't have the money or the wherewithal or the ability to hire an attorney to figure out how to jump through whatever arbitrary hoops the government puts up and gets in the way of creating a business.
Morgan Freeman in 2012, when talking to Mike Wallace about Black History Month, basically said he thought it was ridiculous. He says here, talking to Wallace, he says, I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black History is American history. I agree with him completely. Wallace says, how are you going to get rid of racism until Freeman says, stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man, and I'm going to ask you stop calling me a black man. And I think that's a solution that I'm looking for here, is rather than the back and forth, who did what when and who's getting what now and all this other stuff, let's just start anew.
A lot of people want to talk about it. We got time for you. If you want to join us, hour number 3 is on the way here on Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE is the toll-free number. Also, Skype in at username LRN.FM.
There comes a time when you need custom embroidered or screen printed apparel for your business, organization, or a special event. Corporate Casuals has been helping people create great looking logoed apparel for over 25 years. They can produce a single piece or thousands using name brand apparel like Nike, Patagonia, Adidas, and Hanes. Create your logo in their online embroidery design studio or upload your existing logo and they'll turn it into embroidery. Go to corporatecasuals.com/FTL and include FTL in the order notes and save 5% on your order.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Temporarily from the Old Dominion of Richmond, Virginia, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, March 5th, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.52 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,259 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $411. Antiwar.com reports a U.S. drone strike against the southern Yemeni province of Shabwa destroyed a car and killed 4 unidentified people within, who were all quickly labeled suspected al-Qaeda militants. Locals reported finding al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula propaganda brochures on the ground near the destroyed car, which appears to be the source of the conclusion that the slain were somehow linked to al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. The Shabwa province, like much of the eastern portion of the country, is sparsely populated, and while there was some fighting last summer over the main highways between the pro-Saudi forces and the Shiite Houthis, neither is believed to have a serious foothold in the province itself. Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula's main territorial holdings are on the southern coast of Yemen, including the Hadramaut capital of Mukalla, which they seized early in the Saudi war and which neither side has made a serious attempt to recapture.
You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. That's shop.fppradio.com.
UPI reports Secretary of State John Kerry canceled a trip to Cuba due to disagreements over which dissidents President Barack Obama will meet with during his upcoming visit. According to a U.S. official, common agreement was lacking between the State Department and the Cuban government over aspects of Kerry's trip, including political dissidents Obama intends to meet with when he arrives in Havana on March 21st for a one-day visit. It will be the first time in nearly 90 years that a sitting U.S. president will arrive on Cuban soil. Obama has said he would not visit Cuba until progress on human rights was evident. When announcing his visit in February, though, Obama said he hopes to engage with the Cuban people. Cuban leader Raul Castro has been supportive of the thaw in U.S.-Cuba relations, but has insisted the country's political system and socialist nature of the revolution will stay unchanged. Cuban activists say several dozen political prisoners are in jail, and many more have been detained for brief periods. 1,414 political dissidents were detained in January, according to Elizardo Sanchez of the Cuban Commission for Human Rights and the National Reconciliation. Kerry told the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on February 24th he planned to visit Cuba to prepare for Obama's trip and have a human rights dialogue, but his plans were officially canceled on Thursday when arrangements could not be made.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports the U.S. Supreme Court, 2 days after hearing a major abortion case from Texas, on Friday temporarily blocked a Louisiana law imposing regulations on doctors who perform abortions in a move that would allow 2 recently closed clinics to reopen. In a brief order, the court granted a request by abortion providers seeking to reinstate a lower court injunction that blocked the Republican-backed 2014 law, which required doctors to obtain a formal affiliation with a local hospital. The abortion providers contend Louisiana, the law was designed to shut down abortion clinics by requiring hospital admitting privileges that are difficult for their doctors to secure. Louisiana will now have 4 clinics in total. The order noted that one of the 8 justices, conservative Clarence Thomas, said he would have denied the application. The order said the court's action was in line with its decision in June to temporarily block parts of a Texas abortion law that was challenged by abortion providers in a high-profile case. The justices heard oral arguments in that case on Wednesday. The High Court's action sent mixed signals, however, on how it might rule on the Texas case, in part because the justices previously allowed the Texas admitting privileges provision to go into effect. The Texas case also involves a separate provision that requires clinics to have costly hospital-grade facilities. The law in Louisiana was signed by Governor Bobby Jindal, a Republican, in 2014. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A new report finds climate change skeptics could reach catastrophic levels by 2020. The nation's gratuitously sexual couples announce plans to wait in line at Six Flags. And Grandpa looks absolutely precious in his new baseball cap. Offering a one-stop shop for all your peerless online news summary needs, this is the Onion Week in Review. In response to the escalating violence and rising death toll in Gaza this week, Israel unveiled a new defense system to deflect accusations of human rights violations. Israeli officials praised the new safety structure's ability to intercept an international barrage of war crime allegations and divert criticisms of Palestinian civilian casualties before they can ever hope to make contact with the Jewish state. In other news, a new state law requires doctors to scale an 18-foot wall surrounding abortion clinics. A study finds high school students retain only 1/3 of their obsolete curriculum over the summer, and a man's anxiety is not about to let depression muscle in on its turf.
This is the Onion News Network.
This is Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the live Saturday edition of the program. You can join us here toll free at 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Also, Skype username here tonight is LRN.FM. Should you want to join us that way, with you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Brett,
and Mark.
Brett Venat joining us from the School Sucks Project at schoolsucksproject.com. As we continue, we're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts. We just barely scratched the surface on this Milo Yiannopoulos, who has been speaking on college campuses. He's a gay guy who's challenging the social justice warrior crowd. That sort of sparked a conversation about college campuses and racism in America. So let's go to your calls and thoughts here. We'll go to Rosemarie first up. She's in Virginia Beach listening to WNIS. Rosemarie, you're on Free Talk Live.
Oh, thank you.
Hey.
I just basically wanted to say that I never thought I was a racist. I had friends and neighbors all along, and I'm over 60 years old, that were black. But I moved down south about a year ago, and I swear to God that all the crime you see, you blame, the police for picking on young black men, but the young teens, the black teens, are the ones that are robbing banks and breaking into stores and breaking into homes and just creating havoc. And that's why the police are provoked, into arresting them.
I've got to say, as a young person, I had some trouble with law enforcement that felt in very, very much like it was unnecessary. Like perhaps they were profiling us for being young and having skateboards in our hands. And so oftentimes I feel like it might be that way for some people. Certainly when you look at demographics, it's hard to deny that there are a lot of black people in prison, and one wonders why that might be. But don't you think there might be some profiling that goes on?
That's ridiculous. I think that as white people, young white kids, sure, we've had our share of, upsets with the police. But as a young white person, we just didn't provoke them like the blacks do.
Well, when I was a young man, I was kind of a terror. If you can't see me through the radio, I'm very white. And I grew up in New Hampshire in a wealthy town in the eastern part of the state called Exeter. It's where one of the most prestigious private preparatory schools in the country is, Phillips Exeter Academy. And we would go out and we would get drunk and smoke weed and drive our car around and go to the golf course when it was closed and push golf carts into ponds and smash mailboxes. But the thing was, there weren't any cops patrolling the area. There was maybe like one or two cops on duty in the towns that we lived. So we were getting away with a lot more. I mean, is it possible that this behavior of teenagers? Now, I'm not even saying that I agree with this, but is it possible that this behavior for teenagers, for young rabble-rouser types, is more widespread and the police just aren't in a lot of places to see it because they are patrolling these neighborhoods more than...
I grew up in Maine. I grew up in New Hampshire and Maine. There are hardly any black people. And 25, 30 years ago, I would say maybe 40 years ago, there were no kids in my school that were black.
Same.
So,
yep.
yeah, it was a whole different world.
Well, speaking of New Hampshire, we're here in Cheshire County, New Hampshire, which is the southwestern corner of the state. And Cheshire County, if you are a black person, and there aren't very many of them here, but if you are black in Cheshire County, you are 10 times more likely than if you're black young male, you are 10 times more likely than white young males to be arrested for marijuana possession.
But that's based on arrest statistics, right? So there's
right.
There's a difference there, like. And what is that?
But
that's
doesn't that
interesting.
suggest? Look, in other counties in New Hampshire, you're 2 times more or less. So the lesser.
Right.
So there's
somehow black
people
in Cheshire County are 5 times as bad as black people elsewhere. Is that? It seems like a real statistical anomaly, doesn't it?
What it seems to me like is if you're black and you're in New Hampshire, you're more likely to be targeted by the police. That just seems to be the case, because we're not talking about violent crime here. We're talking about marijuana possession, and usually you only catch someone for marijuana possession if you've done something like pulled them over in the first place and then found some sort of evidence. She just disconnected, by the way. Found some sort of evidence and then arrested them. I mean, you don't just most of the time people getting arrested for marijuana possession aren't openly smoking it in the streets. They're getting caught with it under some other circumstance. And so the statistics suggest there might be some racist cops out there. Now, I don't know how many of the cops are racist. I don't know if the police in New Hampshire are more or less likely to be racist in a place like Baltimore. I don't know. But I suspect that there are racist cops, and I suspect that there is sort of this institutional racism out there. That's not to say that maybe, the statistics are wrong in some ways. For instance, young black males may be more likely to commit crimes because they're poor, perhaps.
Or because their families are broken. So,
sure.
My experience, and this was, I don't like to shift every single, and I feel like it's this instinct in me to do it, and I'm trying to fight it, like shift every problem into like who's to blame that's not black people. But it's like an instinct in me. And I start thinking about like this experience that I had working in this boarding school where my teaching career started back in the year 2000. And I worked as a dorm staff and an outdoor educator, and then I was the lead teacher of a special campus, and then I went on to another school. So I had a lot of experience. We pulled kids from Baltimore. We pulled kids from New York City, Washington, D.C., Providence, Rhode Island. I met one black kid with a dad in the 6 years that I worked there, and I do think that is partially a consequence of the welfare state. That dads, hey, you don't have to stick around anymore.
It incentivizes people
broken families
and creates a society
to a certain extent. But is it also okay to explore questions about black culture? And I mean, we did this on my show, and it was incredibly controversial. I lost listeners because of it. A historian named Thaddeus Russell, who wrote a book called The Renegade History of the United States, he talked about this built-in, at least in African Americans, a cultural aversion to work because of, remember how their experience started in this country.
Right. You might not work if you might not like work if you were bought, drug across the Atlantic Ocean, whipped several times, given a new name, and told the only reason you're here is to work.
But the other thing too is that it's this culture clash because it combines people who were African where, the types of work that are done in the European world aren't even an issue. They're like foreign concepts with this thing, the Protestant work ethic, where like work is good for the sake of work.
Right.
Do you go
Calvinism.
to a job? Do you hate it? That's okay. You have value because you drag yourself to a crappy job every day. You have meaning because you make somebody else money. And I think there's elements of the Protestant work ethic that are good, but the idea of working for work's sake, I could see why certain cultures where that's like a really foreign idea, they wouldn't buy into the Protestant work ethic. So when you have this history where Africans make slaves out of Africans and then make deals with Europeans who want to bring those slaves here, that's a culture clash that is going to have residual effects for centuries, which is what we've seen. But I think that it should be okay to raise questions about cultural predispositions for certain ethnic groups, for certain racial groups, and I think that's a consideration. So what would be cultural prejudices or attitudes amongst black people historically towards what we call the nuclear family, right? Can we blame the whole thing on the welfare state, that like, oh, the government incentivizes black men to leave their wives after, or they're not their wives, their partners after they get them pregnant or when they have very young children because the government will take care of them? Is that the only explanation for why that's happening? I don't think it's fair to just leave it at that, because that transfers responsibility again entirely to somebody else. Now, I'm just bringing this up because it's something that I'm interested in exploring more, and I hope people can be open-minded about that, and that's just not seen as racist for asking that question.
The toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. It is the live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live, should you wish to join us on the radio.
His hair was falling out in clumps.
Petey stopped eating and all his hair fell out.
Mounds and mounds of fur all over the place. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our golden retriever, Sundance, he scratched incessantly. There was hair all over. I heard a radio advertisement for Dinovite.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
The omega-3 fatty acids, zinc.
There's flaxseed oil, the seaweed, the kelp,
the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Within 2 weeks, the shedding slowed down to almost none. The scratching went away after a few days, and Sundance's coat was starting to get shiny and glossy the way it had when she was a puppy.
Tons of energy, no more bad smells.
If your dog has shedding, dry skin, excessive scratching, the phone number for Dinovite is 859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Ted Anderson telling you about Jordan Rubin's Beyond Organic Green-Fed Raw Cheddar Artesian Cheese featuring whole milk created through ancient dairy breeding, unpasteurized, untreated whole milk on the same farm the cows graze, containing natural sources of omega-3s, CLA protein, calcium, probiotics, and enzymes. I have never tasted cheese this good, and you need to try it. Contact your Longevity distributor or call 877-878-4203 or go to gcnteam.com.
You haven't experienced yogurt until you've tried a Mossy, embodying health and flavor in a true whole milk, green-fed dairy beverage. Every sip pays homage to our old world cows and the ancient culturing methods their milk benefits from. With over 30 probiotics, a Mossy's undeniably nutritious, refined, cultured sensation bolsters your health and awakens your passion for dairy. A Mossy's so good, and you need to try it. Contact your Longevity distributor or call 877-878-4203 or go to gcnteam.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719 That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. After a rise of over 2% yesterday, in early trading Friday, gold is up $7 at $1,278 per ounce. Silver is 34 cents higher at $15.60 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $420 US. Both gold and silver are making big moves this week and may have seen recent bottoms. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll free to join us. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. And you can find us online anytime you want at freetalklive.com.
Super Beats. I've been taking it now for, I think, about 6 weeks, maybe 2 months, and I'm amazed by this product. It is really, really great. Now, what Super Beats does is it works upon the 1998 Nobel Prize for Science winning research that shows that nitric oxide is good for heart health and good for healthy blood pressure naturally. It increases your energy and stamina. You get that little energy boost in about 20 minutes. It doesn't taste like beets. It tastes like berries, and you can mix it up real quick in some water. I take it and just mix it in and take it in a little few gulps in a shot, and it works really well for me. And if you want to, please go check out ftlbeats.com. Do some reading there, because you've got to dig into this knowledge about nitric oxide and what it can do for your heart health. But if you live long enough, you're going to have cardiovascular issues. So check out ftlbeats.com. If you don't feel the results, if you don't see the results, you don't pay. It's guaranteed. You get your first 30-day supply. You get a 30-day supply free with your first order. You also get the nitric oxide indicator strips free, so that you can show that it's working. I can see it. You lick the strips a couple minutes after, or about 20 minutes after taking it, and you can see the difference. Plus, you get the free book, Beat the Odds. All of it comes with free shipping. They got a lot of value add here because they want you to try the product. You go to ftlbeats.com to check it out, Super Beats, or give them a call at 800-951-8940. ftlbeats.com, 800-951-8940.
To the phones, to the fun. Let's go to Richard. He's in North Carolina. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Richard.
Hey.
Hey there.
I want to talk about the subject of mutual respect, and I think if white America and black America would have mutual respect, a lot of problems would disappear. And we have to have a way to. I have to have a way to measure mutual respect.
Yeah.
And the question that I do is, I ask people, go back to your last conversation with a Jew. Political conversation, like a conversation like this. And I want to know the last time you told a Jew in that conversation, just forget about the Holocaust. Well, it seems you wouldn't do that. But every day on radio stations and talk shows, I hear people telling blacks, just forget about your Holocaust.
To forget about
Don't
slavery.
Bring it up. You see what I'm saying? And the black Holocaust was 10 times worse than the Jewish Holocaust.
How would you measure that?
When you say the Black Holocaust, are you referring to Hitler exterminating blacks, or are you referring to slavery in America?
I'm saying that slavery in America from 1604 to the end of slavery period, which was 1974, there were 10 times scholars, people that died over that 400-year period or 250-year period. So it was worse.
They died as the result of being slaves. And a follow-up question after you answer that, where do you get the year 1974 for the end of slavery? I'm not contesting that. I'm just interested in where that year comes from.
Oh, okay, sure. So 1974, credible scholars know that there were two parts of slavery in America. 1604, Jamestown, up until 1974. The two parts of slavery were chains, and the other parts of slavery were Jim Crow.
Okay, I was curious because I didn't know if you were talking about, like, a lot of similar types of setups as far as economics in the South were continued after the abolition of slavery through things like sharecropping and tenant farming. Anyone who's seen the movie Ray, about Ray Charles, that's the situation into which he was born, I think in the 1910s or the 1920s. And yeah, of course, the laws in the South had, residual effects from the slave era and from Reconstruction well into the 20th century. So I don't know. I don't disagree with any of that. I think what I'm saying is when you talk about telling a Jew to forget about the Holocaust, how would you feel if you heard me tell a German, say my age, let's say mid-30s, I went up to a German and said, "You're responsible for the Holocaust." A German in his mid-30s living in Germany today. Would that be fair of me to pin responsibility for the Holocaust on him or her?
If he was operating the ovens.
Well, no, but he's 30. But he wasn't. He's 30 to 40 years old.
There aren't too many white people alive who've owned chattel slaves in the United States.
Well, wait a minute now. That's not as accurate. Not as accurate. Most were.
Most were what?
Most were slaves, chattel slavery, under chattel slavery.
I know, but most white people alive today who so what I agree that no one should tell any black person to forget about black history. But I'm turning it around because I think that's completely outrageous. And that was the issue that I took with an earlier caller who said, well, I haven't seen much racism and I've been in the South my whole life. I've never seen anyone in a Klan outfit. And I called him on that and I said, well, that's kind of a selective example, your experience. So I don't think anything should be ignored or swept under the carpet, or it seems like a real conservative thing that we won't address a problem simply by pretending the problem absolutely doesn't actually exist. But I also want to be able to turn it around and say, just like I wouldn't say to a Jew, forget about the Holocaust, would you also take objection to somebody saying to a German, the age of the people on the radio with you tonight, which is like early 30s to mid 40s, if I was to blame a German that age for the Holocaust, wouldn't there also be a kind of problem with collectivism there, blaming them just because they're a German?
Let me answer that question. That's easy. All credible scholars say that there are two parts of slavery. There's the chattel slavery and Jim Crow.
Okay, Jim Crow ended in 1974, like you said. I was born in 1974.
Richard, we got to get other people on here. But thank you. It's been a great call. I appreciate your thoughts. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free number, 855-450-3733. I do think that this deserves further discussion. We'll continue, and you can join us here as well. Skype username's LRN.FM. This is Free Talk Live.
We all have heard about the benefits of fish oils, but what about the presence of heavy metals, PCBs, dioxins, furans, and other contaminants found in fatty tissues of fish? GCNteam.com recognizes this risk and offers IFOS certified tested omega-3 fatty acids. EPA, DHA insist on IFOS omega-3 fatty acid certification. Get the best at GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The conversation has mostly been about race tonight.
All we had to do was say the name Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah, pretty much. We never really got into his story. Mark, you read, a paragraph or two from some sort of essay written by this guy, Milo Yiannopoulos, who's going around stirring it up on college campuses. I was interested in hearing more about it, but as sometimes happens frequently on our Saturday show, it's wall-to-wall phone calls. So we're going to continue with your calls and thoughts, because that's what we do here on Free Talk Live. If you want to help the show out, One of the ways you can do that and help yourself is by going to saveitpurse.com. Although, from what I understand, the discounts have been a little more difficult in recent times for people to acquire. For a little while, I was getting 50% off from saveitpurse.com regularly. I went through like 5 or 6 sales in a row where I was able to get 50% off, which is awesome because, I mean, who wouldn't want 50% off the prices of Amazon? You can do that with saveitpurse.com, but you're in a marketplace. You're bidding against other people. So it's usually easier to get the lower percentages off, and now it's become more difficult to get 50% off. So I've had to lower my prices, and I haven't been able to get 40 either. So I'm going to have to lower it down to like 30.
A lot of people using purse.freetalklive.com.
Times are tough at Save It Purse. Now I might only be able to save 20% on Amazon now, which is still pretty darn awesome, because if you're going to shop at Amazon, why wouldn't you want to save 20%? Most of the time, it's pretty easy to get that from saveitpurse.com. But the catch is, of course, there's got to be a catch. The catch is you have to use Bitcoin to get these discounts. Whatever the discount is you want to get, you still have to use Bitcoin at saveitpurse.com. Makes it easy for you to get the stuff you want from Amazon at a tremendous discount. Again, thanks to Bitcoin. Go to saveitpurse.com as we go to your calls, your thoughts. Scott, listening in Indianapolis to WIBC FM. Scott, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, gentlemen.
Hey there.
I've got a friend in the Indianapolis area who's from Nigeria. Actually, I've got quite a few people I know from Nigeria, and, you know, his experience is totally different, obviously. But point being that, you know, when you're in Nigeria, if there's somebody that's, quote-unquote, keeping you down, that person isn't a white person.
True.
You know? And so...
It was 40 years ago.
Yeah, well, it was a long time ago when, you know, 74, if you want to count that date. But point being that he and I were out having a beer one night, and I was complaining about how something didn't go right in my life, and he basically said, BS. He said, you're in charge of how things happen in your life.
Yeah, and that's the most empowered position that one can take, right? It may or may not be true in every circumstance, but if you take that attitude that you're the center of cause in your own universe, then that's a way to feel really empowered about everything that goes on.
Well, I think that comes back. Go ahead.
But considering all the people that I know in the Indianapolis area, he is one of the most successful people I'm associated with on a personal level.
Yeah, well, that's definitely the attitude that a successful person would have to have. I mean, to be at cause in your life and to not blame other people for problems that you might have is something that you probably would do in order to become successful, to take personal responsibility. I mean, if you're constantly pointing the finger at other people for your problems, then you're probably not a self-starter. You're probably not entrepreneurial. But I think, you know, what you're saying kind of comes back to what the last caller was saying about, you know, forgetting the Holocaust or forgetting the past, forgetting slavery, these ideas. And I think it's important that you shouldn't forget history. It's important to learn from history so we can move on and have a better future. So I think there's a difference between forgetting history, which I don't recommend, but also sticking in the past, like living as though you're still in that moment, you're still in whatever that time frame was. Things may not be perfect today, but I think it would be hard for anyone to argue that they're not better for everyone across the board, whatever your skin color, whatever your age, whatever gender, that things are generally better all around the globe for people in general. And I think that if you can live in the moment, if you can focus on yourself, your life as it is right now, then that's not forgetting about the past or not learning from the past. You've learned from the past, but you're focusing on what's happening to you now. I think that's an important distinction.
Absolutely. Being able to honestly answer the question, what is and what can I do about it, is very empowering.
We can't do anything about the past. It's over.
Right. But a lot of this conversation tonight has been about trying to avoid the avoidance of even asking the question, what is? It's like, go to college and they'll say, oh, it's like this. You're the victim. Right. You didn't know you were the victim? Well, let us tell you about how you are, right? Which is the complete opposite of what your friend said to you in the bar.
That's a socialist position, too. And
You're absolutely right.
My friend is by far the biggest capitalist I know, and he works his butt off.
Scott, good call, man. Thanks for making it tonight. I appreciate the perspective. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. Dave is also in Indianapolis, listening to WIBC. Hey, Dave.
Hello, hippies. Good Saturday night. The caller before Scott, the older gentleman that called in, I'm listening, and I keep hearing the same thing from leftists. And I say specifically leftists because I'm not going to play the race game, and I'm also not going to accept responsibility for something I didn't do. That's a great crime to let somebody, compel you to feel guilty for something you did not do. What that guy did was, it's the same thing leftists do every time. They take a racial group, they take blacks, and they'll say, okay, collectively, this has happened to us. Collectively, you guys have done it to us, and this is what we need to remedy the situation. Now, he went into a lot of history.
But I wanted to see if he actually was going to do that. Like, he didn't get a chance to answer my question when I turned it around and said, okay, would you blame all Germans alive today?
He had 2 chances, actually, to answer
I gave him 2, and he didn't answer the question, which might be indicative of the problem you're bringing up. But
well, yeah, and he wasn't going to answer that question because he only used that scenario with the Jews and the Germans to try to bolster his own point. I doubt that guy cared what happened in Germany, so many years ago. Here's my point. I have 3 big problems with, again, a leftist who happens to be black assuming the moral high ground. They ignore 3 very important things that are going on right now, not 40 years ago. One, and this is government statistics, the illegitimacy rate in the quote-unquote black community. 2, the fact that of the 40 million unborn human beings who have been killed by Planned Parenthood since right around 1973, about half of them have been black. Now, I'm pretty sure, I'd bet a few bucks that not 20 million people were killed during the time of slavery. And 3, the biggest threat to a young black man is not a white cop. It's another young black man. Now, those 3 things are sad. But for people like that older gentleman to completely ignore those 3 points, I give him no street cred, no pun intended. If you're going to assume the moral high ground, if you're going to talk about loss of life as it pertains to a particular group of people, you have got to include everything. And much of the pain that goes on in the African American community is self-inflicted. We tend to, and I say we, white, Caucasian, European, I would go free market capitalists, tend to avoid areas that are predominantly Democrat, read collectivist, statist, socialist, because one of the key tenets in statism is the absolute denial of personal responsibility.
Indeed.
Everything that happens to you is a condition that was brought on by someone else.
Dave, thanks for your call tonight. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. We'll continue. We may have time to get you on the air with us here if you're on hold. If you're not already on hold, probably shouldn't bother calling in at this point.
I gotta say, I've been gritting my teeth through this whole thing. It's just like it feels like walking through a minefield race on Free Talk Live. It's a tough topic, and anybody can call in with it. Right? Like everybody's got an opinion on this, and it.
Moments remain here. Maybe enough time for you if you're already on the lines. This is Free Talk Live.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you, or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Hey, I rode the elevator with you, but I don't work on the upper floors. I just want to squeeze in there right next to you, so the RFID scanner in my pocket can capture all your personal information, your debit and credit cards, even your work ID badge. So your identity is now my identity. Going up, so am I.
For over 10 years, ID Stronghold has pioneered RFID blocking wallets and ID badge holders for consumers, the U.S. military, and even the Executive Office of the President. Shouldn't you be protected too? ID Stronghold wallets cost about the same as wallets in most stores, but give you extra protection.
I'm Walt Augustinowicz, founder and CEO of ID Stronghold. Don't be a victim of electronic pickpocketing. Protect yourself from crimes you can't see with ID Stronghold wallets, card sleeves, and purses.
Visit idstronghold.com and get the original RFID blocking wallets and badge holders. idstronghold.com.
Arcade City is a ride-sharing app built by drivers for drivers. It's more decentralized than Uber and Lyft. With Arcade City, you can keep all of what you earn. Sign up now to drive for Arcade City at arcade.freetalklive.com. Arcade City was created by New Hampshire liberty activist Christopher David. When he publicized the idea in January 2016, he hoped to recruit 100 drivers by the end of the month. Instead, he blew past his goal with over 1,300 drivers signing up in just 2 weeks. Arcade City is connecting drivers directly with riders and is disrupting the already disrupted transportation industry. If you want to get involved, you can join as a rider or a driver. To ride with Arcade City, visit arcaderide.freetalklive.com. To drive with Arcade City, visit arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com to drive, or arcaderide.freetalklive.com to ride with Arcade City. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. I'm not going to give you the phone lines at this point because, well, they're loaded with calls, and sorry to say, there's just no way we're going to get to everybody here tonight. But tomorrow, we're back on the live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live. And Brett, you will not be here Sunday night. You'll be back in your studios in Manchester. And I don't know when you produce School Sucks Project. I imagine it's at whatever time you feel comfortable because it's a podcast. So you can record it whenever you want.
Yeah, I work with a lot of guests, so I schedule around people's availability. Coming up this week, I have Julia Toryanskia. From Brave the World YouTube channel, and she's also really prominent in the Bitcoin community. And then probably at the end of the week, I'll have Jeffrey Tucker, and we'll be talking about the creative process, which is our theme.
Project, schoolsucksproject.com. Go check out more Brett there. There's plenty of episodes, years worth, that you could download.
6+ years.
6 years. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
That's a long run. I don't know how long the average podcast lasts.
7 episodes.
Is that right?
Thank you guys for inspiring me to do a show, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. It's our pleasure. Hey, you were actually asking me briefly about Arcade City there while we were off the air for a moment. And some people may not have heard about Arcade City yet. They're challenging Uber and Lyft. It's a ride-sharing app built by drivers for drivers. They're decentralizing Uber and Lyft, so meaning the drivers get to set the rates. The drivers get to decide basically how to run their own business. And the ride-sharing app from Arcade City just helps you hook up with passengers without the mega corporations being involved anymore. So it's very cool. The app is now available in both the Apple and the Android stores, the Play Store / App Stores. It's free to download. You can go to, if you want to ride with Arcade City, go to arcaderide.freetalklive.com if you would like to drive with Arcade City, and you can keep all of what you earn. This is a big selling point for Arcade City. Uber and Lyft, you get 75%. Of your ride. And again, Uber and Lyft decide what the ride will cost. With Arcade City, you get to decide, and if you want, you can keep all the money that you get from it. So that's pretty cool. So if you want to drive for Arcade City, go to arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com. And if you want to ride with Arcade City, go to arcaderide.freetalklive.com. Go try it out. All right, let's go right back into your calls and thoughts here. We'll go to Arnie in New Jersey. Arnie, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Brett, and Mark.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. You're great. I was up in Manchester, New Hampshire, in a training school, actually. I'd love to hear you talk about my experiences with, if I could say the name of the company, you might be familiar with it. Is it okay to say?
Yeah, go ahead. What was it?
It's called Stone Makers. Are you familiar with the group that build? Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe if you do a little research, maybe one day we could discuss that. But I love your state.
Thanks.
New Hampshire.
Well, our chief exports are tree sap and rocks. Yep.
Well, I like the theme and the confidence and independence of the people I've run into.
It's true. New Hampshire is a very flinty state, very independent. They call it the Granite State for a reason, and I think that's because people here are pretty independent-minded. But go ahead quickly with what you were calling about.
The experience, my perspective, and the environment are very important from a standpoint of racism. When I was a kid, I went down to Jersey City, New Jersey, to visit Grandma, and Mrs. Johnson lived next door, who happened to be a black woman. I didn't know any better. So my perspective always was, pretty fair. Racism does exist without a doubt. And then lastly, from a point you were bringing up about a scholarly viewpoint on the work ethic, I've noticed that in different places that I've traveled, let's say it's a predominantly West Indian island, the people decide that they're just not going to be as aggressive or as capitalist-driven or as entrepreneurial as we may have been exposed to as kids or as young adults. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I know how hard what it takes to bring the money in. But the choice, occasionally, of a culture or an environment happens to be based upon their perspective, how they exist in their own world, in their island in this case, or in their. It's not cultural. It's not like a species thing. It's more like we've chosen to live this type of lifestyle, or we've not been pushed into a work-driven environment because that's just not the way it works in this particular part of the world. Let's say, you see what I mean? It's not a choice by them to move to a place that's going to put them into anything but the kind of lifestyle they're comfortable in. So whether it's it could be white, black, blue, it doesn't really matter the culture or the ethnicity. It happens to be the environment and perspective that the people of that community come from.
That's an important point, Arnie. Thanks for calling to make it tonight. I do appreciate hearing from you. Let's go to ISIS, calling from Indianapolis. ISIS, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello, and I just knew as soon as I decided to take a bite of this Jimmy John's, you would pick up the phone. So I do apologize. To give you a little bit of background here, first of all, and the reason I'm saying this is because you have so many people on the phone this evening from Indiana. I'm actually in Carmel, but didn't think that Carmel would mean anything, but this will mean something when I tell you the story. I just moved back here. from Bedford, New Hampshire, and that probably means something to you there as well.
It's kind of a soccer mom town, suburban.
When you say Bedford, you have to keep your teeth stuck together. You see it like Thurston Howell III.
With a lot of underbite.
Well, the reason I say that is because I'm a black woman who is also a conservative, married to a black man, who every single solitary time we would basically want to go home, we would get pulled over.
Wow.
So the fact that I'm even saying this, and I'm not the type of person who has ever fed into racism or anything else. And my call this evening has nothing to do with me being angry. It has to do with me kind of being a bit hurt by the woman who says she grew up in Maine and New Hampshire and things. And I hear this a lot from people. Part of the reason why these things exist is because a lot of Caucasians also believe it never happened. And again, this to me is a socio-economic issue, not a racial issue, and I'll prove my point. So, little Asian kids sitting in a classroom full of Caucasians, blacks, whatever else. Now, we just automatically assume that little Asian kid is smart as all get out. So what are we putting upon that little stupid Asian kid?
Can't be very easy for him.
But no, I'm saying, what happened, what kind of psychological damage do we do to the stupid Asian kid?
I don't know. I think that people thinking you're smart is probably better than people thinking you're dumb.
No, that's my point. If you automatically thought that you're smart, what happens to the one that isn't?
I assume that they probably achieve at a higher level than they normally would, which is to say that they can probably shovel a little faster than the other ditch diggers. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
But that's my point.
Right.
It has nothing to do with race. It has to do with the people who rear you. My grandfather used to say all the time that you play in the uniform in which you are dealt.
Well,
and you
Isis,
also,
I'm confused, though. Look, you said you got pulled over a lot when you were in New Hampshire. Wouldn't you say that has to do with your race?
That's my whole point. So to say that a person, that these things don't happen and there is no profiling, my husband never went into the Navy. And here's the reason why he did not go into the Navy. Because when he was going there to be inducted, one of the people told him that we don't take drug dealers here.
Oh, God.
My husband has never even smoked a cigarette in his entire life. He went there with 3 other buddies of his that were all Caucasian. None of them got that story.
I bet.
Okay, but there's a difference there.
Go into the Navy.
But there's an important difference there between institutional racism, which certainly, beyond any doubt or argument, at one time existed in the U.S. military, and an anecdotal experience with one bigoted person that he might have had to talk to that day.
When I moved to New Hampshire, my sisters-in-law told me not to go to certain cities. My husband got pulled over one time, and the cop said the reason why he pulled him over is because he looked like he was going to run the light. Now, he didn't run the light, and that's exactly what he said.
I can't argue against that one. I agree with you.
No sense.
Look, I'd like to point something out here.
back
Isis,
seat.
I appreciate your perspective, and I agree with you. I mean, I just would like to say I absolutely think that there's institutional racism, that there are racist cops, and I think you've given yet another example of this. It sounds like you guys are, a well-to-do couple. You weren't driving a beater, right? So you were just driving a regular car.
Little bit more background. 4 of my nephews accepted into Phillips Exeter. My husband is a chemical engineer with a master's degree in nuclear medicine.
Right. It's driving while
He's
black.
a thug.
This happened.
A drug-dealing thug, Isis.
Hey, Isis, great call. Thanks for making the call and sharing
Isis.
your story with us tonight. We're just out of time, unfortunately, because I would have loved to
Have a great
continue.
evening,
Yes,
gentlemen.
we will.
Thank
we will.
you.
Appreciate that. And if you didn't get in tonight, don't worry. We're back tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at night Eastern Time when we start, 7 nights a week. And join us online anytime at freetalklive.com.
A report published this week found that a growing number of Americans are being forced to make ends meet by collaborating on songs with Miami-based rapper Pitbull. Citing rising income inequality and a turbulent job market, the report found many U.S. citizens moonlighting as recording artists, mixing drum beats, and guest starring on tracks for the Latin American producer.
It's exhausting, between being part of Pitbull's entourage anytime he's on a club tour and mixing new hooks for him every few nights. I barely see my wife anymore. It's not like I want to do another remix with Avicii, but we really need the money. Okay, sure. I need to get back to work.
In a groundbreaking find, paleontologists this week unearthed the earliest known dinosaur stickers on record. Reportedly discovered in a box labeled Greg's Room, the excavated remains of the reptile adhesives include such stunning specimens as a Triceratops featuring the words Dinos Rock, an Apatosaurus sticker, and the extremely rare puffy kind.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you want to play online poker with Bitcoin, you need a site that's trustworthy and technically sound. The site managers of swcpoker.eu have proven their commitment to bringing you great gameplay from a site you can trust, swcpoker.eu. They have lots of new games too, including Chinese poker, and their Krill leaderboard is open right now. It's a beautiful site, easy to use with lots of players. Go on over to swcpoker.eu now and have some fun with your Bitcoin. swcpoker.eu.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
The live edition of Off the Air Live is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
Temporarily from the Old Dominion of Richmond, Virginia, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, March 5th, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.52 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,259 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $411. Antiwar.com reports a U.S. drone strike against the southern Yemeni province of Shabwa destroyed a car and killed 4 unidentified people within, who were all quickly labeled suspected al-Qaeda militants. Locals reported finding al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula propaganda brochures on the ground near the destroyed car, which appears to be the source of the conclusion that the slain were somehow linked to al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. The Shabwa province, like much of the eastern portion of the country, is sparsely populated, and while there was some fighting last summer over the main highways between the pro-Saudi forces and the Shiite Houthis, neither is believed to have a serious foothold in the province itself. Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula's main territorial holdings are on the southern coast of Yemen, including the Hadramaut capital of Mukalla, which they seized early in the Saudi war and which neither side has made a serious attempt to recapture.
You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. That's shop.fppradio.com.
UPI reports Secretary of State John Kerry canceled a trip to Cuba due to disagreements over which dissidents President Barack Obama will meet with during his upcoming visit. According to a U.S. official, common agreement was lacking between the State Department and the Cuban government over aspects of Kerry's trip, including political dissidents Obama intends to meet with when he arrives in Havana on March 21st for a one-day visit. It will be the first time in nearly 90 years that a sitting U.S. president will arrive on Cuban soil. Obama has said he would not visit Cuba until progress on human rights was evident. When announcing his visit in February, though, Obama said he hopes to engage with the Cuban people. Cuban leader Raul Castro has been supportive of the thaw in U.S.-Cuba relations, but has insisted the country's political system and socialist nature of the revolution will stay unchanged. Cuban activists say several dozen political prisoners are in jail, and many more have been detained for brief periods. 1,414 political dissidents were detained resigned in January, according to Elizardo Sanchez of the Cuban Commission for Human Rights and the National Reconciliation. Kerry told the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on February 24th he planned to visit Cuba to prepare for Obama's trip and have a human rights dialogue, but his plans were officially canceled on Thursday when arrangements could not be made.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports the U.S. Supreme Court, 2 days after hearing a major abortion case from Texas, on Friday temporarily blocked a Louisiana law imposing regulations on doctors who perform abortions in a move that would allow 2 recently closed clinics to reopen. In a brief order, the court granted a request by abortion providers seeking to reinstate a lower court injunction that blocked the Republican-backed 2014 law, which required doctors to obtain a formal affiliation with a local hospital. The abortion providers contend the law was designed to shut down abortion clinics by requiring hospital admitting privileges that are difficult for their doctors to secure. Louisiana will now have 4 clinics in total. The order noted that one of the 8 justices, conservative Clarence Thomas, said he would have denied the application. The order said the court's action was in line with its decision in June to temporarily block parts of a Texas abortion law that was challenged by abortion providers in a high-profile case. The justices heard oral arguments in that case on Wednesday. The High Court's action sent mixed signals, however, on how it might rule on the Texas case, in part because the justices previously allowed the Texas admitting privileges provision to go into effect. The Texas case also involves a separate provision that requires clinics to have costly hospital-grade facilities. The law in Louisiana was signed by Governor Bobby Jindal, a Republican, in 2014. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A new teen trend of walking wet and nude couldn't have caught on at a worse time, and a taxpayer is outraged. And lo, the Lord said unto the Israelites, look unto the heavens, and you shall see a news review program to rival the greatest wonders of the earth. This is the Onion Week in Review. As a front of dense, frigid air and snow showers brought sub-zero temperatures to much of the country this week, Canton, Ohio residents noted that the blanketing of snow they had received created the illusion that their town was not a total hole. Residents added that unlike its typical depressing reality, the snow-cloaked town actually looked halfway livable.
Canton is usually a miserable little dump, but you know when that first snow fell and covered everything in a layer of white powder?